Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Beware the Board, a horror podcast. We watch a randomly selected horror movie every week. I'm Bob.
And I'm Ben.
Hey,
and
man.
we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're watching Friday the 13th.
Again. Same movie. We're going to watch it again. Back to back. Let's go. No, I'm just kidding.
I like that film. I don't like that film that much.
No, I couldn't watch it again right now. Not that, I guess behind the curtain, we're not recording that right at. We're pretty close. Time-wise.
I know. I just meant even the distance between when the last episode released and this one releasing. Couldn't watch it again.
No,
at that time.
I couldn't. No, it's good. I like it, but no, it's not one of those movies that I could just throw on and watch again.
No,
like over and over.
It is a once in a while kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd say maybe once a year.
It's when I need to watch the Friday the 13th franchise in its entirety. Let me slap that in.
Yeah.
All right. You have anything you need to talk about, Bob, before we just get into it?
I don't think so. I think I'm good. I don't think I have anything in particular I want to talk about on this episode before we get into the actual movie stuff. Do you have anything?
No, but I could send you on a rant right now if you want.
What does that mean?
I could send you on a rant about something right now.
No, what are you about to talk to me
that?
about? If it's what I think it is, I'm going to get mad. Because I'm pretty sure I know what it is.
Oh, I have to do it now.
You don't have to do anything.
Have you seen the stills from The Exorcist?
Oh!
The new one?
Yes, I have actually.
Have you heard it's supposed to be so much better than the original?
I don't stop that
From
right
the
now.
director
Stop.
himself?
Stop. I have seen stills from this new movie. I think it doesn't have an epithet. I think it's called The Exorcist, the Believer or something, or Exorcist
Something
Believer.
stupid, yeah.
That's a dumb name, first of all, because you could have just
Just called it The Exorcist.
yes,
Now, I prefer giving it a separate name so we can differentiate.
I do too, but it's a remake.
Yep.
So giving it a different name makes me think it's a different movie?
That tells me it's probably a different enough movie to be a different movie, but they're just going to consider it a remake.
Which is dumb.
That just means that they're probably going to be remaking the first movie, but with significant changes.
Yeah. Which is, you know what? I'm okay with that sometimes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But The Exorcist is a special case where it's why?
Why are
you
you doing this to
this?
begin with?
Who thought this was a good idea? I'm being honest. The Exorcist is old. I think it's 1973 or something. I might be right. I might be wrong. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's old enough to where I could see there are benefits to remaking a movie like that in the modern age to modernize it for a modern audience.
Fair enough.
That could happen. But it's also just one of those movies that I don't think needs a remake because
it's too good.
I watched it this year. No. Last year. I lied. It was last year sometime, I think. Maybe.
Technically, I think it might have been last year.
I think it might have been last year. I don't remember.
Is that season 1 or season 2?
Season 2, because it was demons.
Season 2, I think, was this year.
Was it this year? No, that might have been December. October. No, it might have been November. Anyway, it was after Halloween, but it might have been before the new year.
We started season 1
in October.
Right after Halloween.
Yeah.
I think we recorded season 1 almost on Halloween Day. I can't actually remember if we did that.
We were really close. But anyway, I've seen that film super recently, and I'm this is a great movie. It doesn't need it, man. It just doesn't.
Yeah, my guess here is it's not going to be a remake. It's going to be a soft reboot, which is a pretty popular thing to do in Hollywood right now, where it's you basically remake the original movie, but it's also kind of a sequel in that it references the first movie somewhat.
Yeah.
But it's basically the same film. That would be my guess. However, it could just be a remake where they just change a bunch of stuff.
Which I don't really want. I'm going to watch it, okay? I'm going to be honest with everyone right now. I'm going to go and see it. I'll give them my money.
We're going to go watch it. I think that might be the first movie we watch.
In theaters.
Because I think Bob's just going to need to see it there.
I'm going to be mad. I'm gonna come out raging. It's going to be awesome.
We'll have to figure out how we're doing a recording session after that.
Yeah, we don't know yet. We haven't, because we've never done that before. It's one of those things that, it changes the format of the show because, there won't be an outtake section because we can't. Well, we could. It would just be very difficult.
I just don't think we'll do an actual episode on it. I think what we'll do is we'll have our initial thoughts on the film, and then if we ever start doing Blu-ray reviews, we'll review it again then.
Yeah, it'll be a whole different thing.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it if it's going to come out, if we're going to do it at all. But I'm so nervous about this one because it's one of those movies that, like, it was one of the first films we watched on the podcast where I went, this is cinema. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Like, I was like, God damn, horror is like, because for a lot of people, at least back in the day, horror wasn't really good quality. Like, you didn't think of horror as like,
is porn.
kinda, yeah. It was sort of like, it had a very low standard, I guess, in a lot of people's minds.
It was like porn. I mean, I don't think you've seen it yet, like specifically, but there were some actors that just did porn that also did horror movies.
We've talked about that.
Yeah, I just meant like I don't think you've specifically seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't.
There is a film I know where like one of the main characters is just straight up a porn star.
Yeah. But, like, I watched The Exorcist and I went, holy shit, this is kind of what brings the standard up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to see someone remake it makes me nervous.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real issue is that, like, the first film was so great and it was so successful that they're remaking it because they're, like, money.
Yeah, which is, I don't think, ever a good idea.
They're not, like, going into it like, oh, we can do things better. And, yeah, I think they could modernize stuff, but I think at the end of the day, the issue with it is it's not going to be as good from, like, a film perspective as the first one
Mm-hmm.
because the first one was just so good. Additionally, and I think this is a very big concern, it's a remake, right?
Yeah.
Assumedly, they're going to change as much stuff as they can and still call it a remake. Their reasoning being that it'll keep it new and interesting and it'll keep fans of the first one entertained, which I understand the thought process there. I usually don't like the results of that. There's a couple films in particular we haven't seen in this podcast that I'm not going to mention by name right now, but change stuff like that to keep stuff interesting.
I'm
But I
pretty
think-
sure I'm aware of one of them.
Ruin the film. Oh, what are you thinking of?
The Evil Dead remake. I don't know how true that is. I've never seen Evil Dead nor its remakes, but
It's not the one I'm thinking of.
oh, okay, well, that was the one I was thinking of.
Wait, which Evil Dead remake? The second or the third remake?
I thought there was only one.
Oh, no, there's 2 Evil Dead remakes.
Didn't know that.
Evil Dead 4 and Evil Dead 5 are both remakes.
And then is 6 Rise?
No, 6 is 5.
I don't actually know, man.
It's Evil Dead 1 and it's Evil Dead 2,
Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness.
Yep.
Then Evil Dead.
Oh.
Then Evil Dead Rise.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So
there's
4's
only-
a remake.
4's a remake. 5's a remake.
I didn't know if I was a remake.
Well, 5's a soft reboot, essentially.
weird.
But it's also a remake. Because it doesn't reference anything that happened in the past.
That's dumb.
I mean, I guess it's less of a remake than any of the other remakes.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's essentially a remake, even though it's a different setting and everything.
Okay.
Not the film I was talking about. There's a different one. But, like,
Okay.
people do that sometimes, and I get the reasoning behind it. I usually don't like the results because they usually have to change something very integral to the plot,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes that original thing is much better.
Fair enough.
And so I think that's probably what they're going to do here. That's not my main issue. My main issue is, like, it's a remake, but it's probably going to be a remake of the movie, even though the movie's based on a book. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think that's kind of a weird thing,
Yeah.
Because there's just so many levels of, like, removal from the source material then.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, you could just, like, remake. Like, you could just do a separate adaptation of the book and probably get new content.
That's fair. I mean, I'm sure there's tons of stuff in the book that they cut from the movie because it's just hard to transfer.
Yeah, and I mean, wasn't the initial script done by the author? I
I
believe so, right?
think you're right, but we could be wrong.
And so, I mean, he would know best about what the cut and everything, but, like, even then, I know he had to leave a bunch of stuff on the chopping board because
Mhm.
books are so much longer. I think that'd be a safer way to do it, but I'm sure that's not how they did it.
Probably not.
Okay, you ready to just talk about the movie now?
Yeah, we can move on. I'm just miffed about this whole Exorcist thing.
I don't think you saw much, though. I think you just saw the poster, right?
I've seen some stills. I've seen some.
Stop looking at them. That's my turn to yell at you. Okay, go ahead.
I saw. I think I saw who's playing the priest in it.
Why do you keep looking at stuff?
Not by choice.
Not a choice.
No.
That's fine.
Just scrolling through Twitter and I
I
scroll
just
past
hate
it.
that you get spoilers for stuff.
I mean, it's not really spoilers. It's just like the actor.
I know. Well, thankfully, there's no spoilers. Straight up, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm asking because I've seen, like, images that spoiled so much.
Really?
Yeah, not things I was happy about either.
Damn.
But it's the whole thing with trailers where it's,
Mm.
like, promotional
I didn't watch the
material.
trailer. I saw
That's
some
fair.
stills.
I just meant, like,
I think it's like promotional shots.
yeah, be careful with those. This is a general thing for audience members. Promotional shots and trailers, they usually like to get really cool things that'll get you in theaters, But
Yeah.
a lot of times those really cool things can sometimes spoil elements of films.
Yep.
Especially like if you're not thinking about it or you're not paying attention, it's not going to ruin anything for you. But if
Mhm.
you're one of those people who like pays a lot of attention or like will remember that when you go see the movie, it can be like pretty major stuff,
Yeah.
which sucks.
It does suck.
Anyways, we're going to go back to Friday the 13th. All right, we're watching Friday the 13th Part 2 today. It came out in 1981.
Oh,
The second Friday the 13th movie, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that sounds like it came out a year later, right?
Yeah.
No, it came out 10 months later.
Oh, damn, that's a really fast turnaround.
Yes. Yeah. That's basically, we made what, $30 million?
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
Let's make another one. I know there's no setup here for making a second one, but money.
Oh, God damn it.
All right, description. It's time for more Jason.
Okay.
All right, it's an hour and 27 minutes long.
Okay.
It's rated R.
Woo, nice. If we get to one of these and it's rated G, I might shit a brick.
Bob, I don't know how that would happen.
I don't either.
Because I think I've talked to you before about how, like, the MPAA has historically, like, to crucify this franchise. Because they just like to make an example out of it, I think, as well as having just, like, bad associations with it from both, like, a political level of parents complain and also, like, spitefulness on their part.
Sure.
Point being is, like, I don't think that even if for whatever god-awful reason someone made a PG Friday the 13th film, I don't think that the MPAA wouldn't slap a PG-13 label on it.
They would be like, look, Jason's in the movie.
They would come up with something. They'd be like, nah, gotta be 13 years old.
That's fucking ridiculous.
That's a big dude.
It's just a movie about Jason picking flowers and being a nice guy, and they're like, PG-13.
Do you hear where he mumbles right there?
He said a curse word.
He said a curse word.
Yeah. That's fucking
Did
funny.
you hear that silence? Yeah. He said fuck 3 times. Rated R.
NC-17.
I know you didn't hear any noise, but it's just really quiet.
It was implied.
Implied fucking.
That's different. That's two different things.
That's what the flowers represent.
Oh.
he's picking them.
Yeah. There are birds and bees as well.
Ah, yeah.
There it is.
All right. For review scores, IMDb gave it a 6.1 out of 10.
Okay.
About the same as the last film.
Yeah.
Tomato meter gave it a 29%.
29?
An audience score gave it a 48%.
Oh my god.
A little bit lower.
That's significantly lower, if I remember correctly. It's been a couple
Well,
days.
Friday the 13th gave everything across the board about a 60%.
And I got 29 and a 40.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
I don't either,
Because they're usually like, IMDb is like the composite score, right?
yeah.
So it's usually kind of middle of the road. And so for it to be so much higher is weird.
Mm-hmm.
My only guess is what this comes down to, once again, is the simple fact that, like, reviews have to be added after the fact
Yeah.
for, like, websites and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's just more people reviewing on IMDb and less on Rotten Tomatoes.
That makes sense.
Because that tends to be my understanding of stuff anyways, like when I observe stuff, is there's
Mhm.
usually less ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, at least for older films, than there is IMDb.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right. It has 3 nominations, but no wins for awards.
Damn.
Pretty understandable. I mean, but old horror films don't really have a lot of awards like that.
Yeah, I mean, they just didn't win stuff.
All right. Now, I'm going to tell you notable actors. Once again, I'm not going to mention Jason, like who the actor is.
Yeah.
I think we'll do that, I don't know what you say, when we come back from the movie. Like
yeah.
right away.
I
We'll
thought
play
that was
our-
the plan.
Our Jason game. Well, I just remember, like, we forgot to do it until the spoiler section last time, which kind of sucked, but, like, we at least remember it eventually.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't think about that.
Anyways, notable actors. Amy Steele as Ginny. We've seen her before as Kit in April Fool's Day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool.
John Furry as Paul Holt. He plays Lee Hawkins in All My Children.
I've heard of that, but I don't know what it is.
It's like a daytime television show.
Okay.
Anyways, he was on 10 episodes from 1998. And I just want you to know, I totally just remembered his name was Paul Holt because Paul Holt. He's credited as Paul, but like his full name's Paul Holt.
Paul Holt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul Holt.
What? Is this a reference to something?
No, it's just a cool name.
Okay. Okay. I thought you knew something I didn't.
All right. Kirsten Baker as Terry plays June in Gas Pump Girls. Stuart Charno as Ted plays Vandenberg in Christine. Marta Kober as Sandra plays Lorraine in Neon Maniacs. Tom McBride as Mark played Jim in Soap Opera. And Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. Bill Randolph as Jeff, played Chase Cabby in Dressed to Kill. Lauren Marie Taylor as Vicky, played Sheila Robinson in Girls' Night Out. I think she was also in Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Okay. We'll get there.
Yeah, eventually. And then Russell Todd as Scott, and he played Scott Nash in Where the Boys Are.
I think the only one of those movies I recognize or anything was Christine. Because isn't that Stephen King Carr movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll watch that too. Probably. I don't know anything about that one other than Stephen King Carr movie.
Last year, Christine was at the convention. I don't think she'll
Really?
be there this year.
Damn.
We do get to see, for anyone who's interested, a different Stephen King Carr.
Heavy metal?
That's not a Stephen King
Not heavy
story.
metal. What is that called? What is that other Stephen King thing about cars called? It's not heavy metal. It's not twisted metal. What is that?
Do you not know?
No, I can't remember.
Maximum Overdrive.
That's what it was. Maximum Overdrive.
Basically there's one just super egregious truck there because it's a killer truck movie.
Yeah.
It's really, really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe eventually we'll watch it because it's so stupid. If we ever cover killer vehicles,
Yeah, I mean, we watched that in Christine and then probably something else.
there's actually a good amount of killer vehicle movies.
Really?
Just for cars.
Hmm.
Because it's a smaller subgenre, but they do exist.
That'd be cool.
I wouldn't go so far as to say there's a good amount, but
There's enough for us to cover them.
yeah. And then that's separate from things like Mad Max, which are
Or twisted metal.
killer vehicles, but in a
Yeah.
very different way. No, the Goblin truck's gonna be there.
Yeah,
Very
that's
specifically, the Goblin, not the whole truck.
What it was. Okay. That'll be cool.
He looks like the Green Goblin.
Yeah, he does. I've seen that cover quite a few times.
Yeah, I mean that movie's kind of a joke.
I mean, it's popular though. Like people.
Not because it's necessarily good.
Yeah, but people like it.
but
People
because
think it's
a
fun.
meme.
Yeah.
All right. Director is Steve Miner, who is different director.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. He also directed House. You ever heard of House?
Like the Doctor?
No. It's a horror movie called House.
Oh no, I don't know that one.
It's a little weird.
Will we
But-
watch it on the show eventually? Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
It's not the greatest thing ever. He's directed a couple other movies too. He's directed one of the Halloween films. Not going to tell you which one yet because we haven't seen it.
I was about to say I don't remember this guy.
No, we haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
He also did Blasted. Anyone likes Killer Croc movies? Good Killer Croc movie.
Oh. Okay.
All right. Writer Ron Kurz. Do you remember him? He did uncredited writing on the
Oh.
last film.
Yep. There it is.
Yeah. And if you're wondering specifically, I think the scenes he did in that film, because I didn't talk about it last time. I think I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I was looking around on this film, and I think he did the more humored scenes.
Ah.
Basically, he got the script and he looked it over and he added some more comedy stuff.
That's part of the charm of the first film. That's some of the better parts.
That's some of the more entertaining parts of when it's just people.
Yeah.
And there really wasn't a lot of it.
No.
As
Coulda
much
used
as I'd
more.
want. So that's what you know going into this one is there's definitely going to be more characterization, I guess.
Maybe
that's what that
maybe I'll
is.
like this one more. It's possible.
Budget about $1.25 million.
Damn.
So
It's more money.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 times because the last one was about
I thought the last one was like
50,000.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't remember.
I think that's exactly what I said last time.
Yeah, so you're right.
But the box office was only $21.7 million.
I mean, it still fucking made a ton of money.
It's still a ton of money.
Yeah,
It's just not
nearly as
as
much.
much. Country of origin, United States, obviously. So the working title, just Jason.
Oh, honestly, I don't hate that. Just calling it Jason.
I mean, working titles, usually it's like a placeholder when you're writing the script, but it's also usually sometimes like the name you put on the film so people don't know what movie you're making
Yeah, that makes sense.
at the time. So people don't start sniffing around.
Yeah.
All right. I only got 2 things to tell you before we get into the film. First of all, we've talked about it before, but heavy cuts on this film. Not insane, but a minute of footage was cut.
Damn, the last one only had 35 seconds.
Yeah. So a minute's a lot.
Yeah, it's
Logistically.
it is a lot.
It's not a lot for a movie that's an hour and 27 minutes long.
Yeah,
However, for a production standpoint, that's a good amount, especially because it's always usually cut from practical effects they did,
yeah,
which
and that stuff's expensive.
is very expensive. And also usually is what we come for as slasher fans.
Yeah.
That's usually what we're here for. And then the other thing is no Tom Savini, Bob.
Oh,
He
really?
didn't work on this film.
Do you know who did the effects for this film?
Yeah. So Tom Savini basically turned this film down because I'm just going to say, didn't like the script and some of the choices in this film.
Oh, damn.
And so he turned this film down to work on another project. And then instead of Tom Savini, we got Carl Fullerton. I just want to tell you right now, he does a good job.
Okay.
He only had like, I think 5 weeks to get stuff prepped
Damn.
because they wanted another guy to do stuff, and I forget what his name is, but there was scheduling conflicts, so Fullerton kind of came on last minute. But he does a pretty decent job, especially for the time he had.
Does he do other stuff like?
Yeah, the really big one is he did effects on Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, well, I've heard that movie's really good.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm
yeah.
not worried anymore. Not that I was worried before, but like,
No, yeah, it sucks that Tom Savini didn't come back.
yeah,
For this film, especially because like he did the first one,
yeah.
and it's Tom Savini. Bob likes Tom Savini, but Carl Fullerton does a good job. Just wanted to let you know that right off the bat, so you're not like super disappointed going in.
Good
All
to
right.
know.
We're gonna go watch the film now.
Yeah. Well, see you guys in a minute. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We just finished watching Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
I don't know about electric. There wasn't a ton of electricity in this film.
Ah, but wouldn't that have been cool?
It kept going out
It would have been. It would have been shitty.
because we wouldn't be able to see everything.
Oh. Yeah. Well, no, there was plenty of lightning. That's electricity.
I guess that's fair. You're
I
right.
was more referring to like Jason shooting lightning bolts out of his
Oh,
fingers.
like fucking Palpatining people? That'd be kind of awesome. Painted laser array Jason? It's
Maybe
kinda
he's
cool.
like a hard rocker.
Ooh, yeah. I like that movie.
All right. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Or
Or kind of middle.
middle.
Middle?
Mid.
Okay.
Very middle.
You didn't enjoy yourself?
I did enjoy myself, but there are
That's not what I'm asking. Kind of if you enjoyed yourself or not.
yeah, it was
Okay.
fine. Yeah, I enjoyed myself, but it's very much one of those films where there are things I like and there are things I do not like.
Fair enough.
So it's sort of a mixed bag.
Okay. I guess we'll just get into the description, right?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. It's gonna be a quick description. I do want to say this now that like obviously there's spoilers in the description, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know we'll do our general talking after the description where we talk about the film, and then we'll do a spoiler section where we'll talk about like things that are actually pretty big spoilers for the movie. So like as always, I recommend you go watch the film before we talk about it if you haven't seen it before, because having spoilers for a film sucks.
Yeah.
But also go watch a film. It's good for you. But before we do that, I do want to mention the fact that like when we're talking about this film, there might be spoilers for the last film. So we'll try
Yeah.
to keep those to a minimum if we have anything that's like a super big spoiler for the last film. And we'll try to put those in maybe the spoiler section. But just know that, like, the assumption here is you've seen the last film.
Yeah.
So,
Because,
sorry.
we're watching them all in order. So,
You should be watching them in order. Or you should have seen them.
yeah.
Or you don't care.
And in which case, good for you.
Whatever. All right. So, the description of this is super, super, super simple because it's a slasher movie. It's got a slasher movie premise. This film takes place 5 years after the last one,
Yup.
which is kind of
Weird.
bizarre
Yeah.
because this film was released 10 months after the last one.
Yeah.
So it's released in 1981, but it's set in 1985
Mm-hmm.
or 1986, depending how the months play out.
Yeah, it's just very strange.
Yeah, it's a weird choice
Mm-hmm.
because like I don't know, it doesn't really feel like there's a reason for it
No, other than just like,
to say that happened a while ago and not last summer.
yeah, basically just to put distance between the time that this is taking place in the first one.
But it didn't feel like it really needed that time.
No, but I guess it explains away, like, I guess it makes a little more sense because, like, I don't know.
I can see the reasons you'd say it's 5 years later,
Yeah.
but it also just didn't need to be. And so it's a weird decision since, like, it would make more sense to set the movie when it's releasing, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That's fair.
Anyways, it's set at a summer camp again. Shocker. The prototypical summer camp slasher film series is set at a summer camp. Except it's not like an actual summer camp. It's like a counselor training camp.
Mm-hmm.
And very specifically, when they drive in, there's literally a sign that says counselor training camp, which is bizarre because they also kind of act like this place was going to be a summer camp later in the year.
Yeah, I think they're probably using it, like, to train, but they're probably going to have kids come later.
Yeah, it just felt weird because, like, the sign specifically says training camp.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like, it was on a hanging sign that said training. So maybe they switch out that sign when kids come.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wasn't very clear. But it's this camp. On Camp Crystal Lake again. Not on Camp Crystal Lake.
On Crystal
It's
Lake.
on Crystal Lake. Although I will note, this camp is 5 minutes walking distance from Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah, it's real close.
We don't actually see Camp Crystal Lake, but we do like see the property.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to mention that's kind of bizarre,
It is weird.
right? Because if this is a summer camp, those are 2 summer camps right back to back.
Yeah, but Crystal Lake's condemned, so they had to replace it. You know what I mean? That's how I feel, at least.
You mean the summer camp?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense because this camp looks newer
Mm-hmm.
than Camp Crystal Lake, but also just kind of a bizarre thing to build right next to the murder camp,
Sure.
you know?
Makes sense.
Especially because, like, it's a decent-sized lake. Why
a
not
pretty
just
big
build
lake.
it on the other side of the lake where the murders don't happen? Right?
Yeah.
Anyways, it's a training camp, and the guy doing the training, because he is in charge, Paul Holt, you know,
It's Paul.
Paul Holt. They just call him Paul, but his last name's Holt. I just think it's a cool name. Like, legitimately,
Ben spent the entire movie just going, Paul Holt.
Paul Holt.
Over and over and over again. I was just like,
It's kind of funny, at least for me. But he's running this camp, and he's training a bunch of people. I don't know. There's
Mhm.
probably like 20.
yeah, it's a
20,
lot
30.
of people.
A lot of people. Now, it becomes very clear that only a couple of them matter because only a couple of them are named, and, like, the rest are nameless
Background
young
counselors?
adults. Yeah. Which kind of sucks, but at the same time, it's a good way to have a handle on the important characters
Mm-hmm.
without being overwhelmed. And, you know, more importantly, it just makes this feel real.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think a major gripe for the last film is that there's just not a lot of people there,
Yeah.
which isn't a big deal, but, like, all the counselors for that summer camp was what, like, less than 10?
Yeah, it
was
like 6 or 7 plus Steve.
Yeah, it's just, like, an absurdly small amount to run a summer camp with.
Yeah.
And this was, like, a realistic amount.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, the named characters are Vicky and Mark,
Yeah.
Jeff and Sandra, Paul Holt, Ginny,
Yep.
Ted,
Ah, good old Ted.
Terry, and
Yep.
Scott.
Yep. Oh, and Muffin.
And Muffin, that's a dog.
Yep.
But that's 10 named characters and a dog. Everyone else was background.
Yeah.
And, you know, basically the setup is they do a little campfire, kind of, let's sit around the campfire and tell a story. Paul Holt tells the story of, like, oh, yeah, 5 years ago, guys, there were some murders at Camp Crystal Lake. But by the way, no one ever found Jason's body after he drowned in 4 feet of water.
It's more than 4 feet of water.
It was like 6, maybe 8.
No, he was definitely like in the actual lake part of the lake, like the deep end.
No, he was right off the pier.
Was he?
Anyways,
But if kid can't swim, man.
I know, but it's the fact that, A, bodies float when you drown usually. And also, like,
He didn't drown.
they're like, no one found Jason's body after he drowned. So he's just, like, living in the woods as a woodsman.
Yeah.
But no one's seen him since.
Nope. It's been 5 years of peace.
Yeah, I mean, I know he did the killings in the last movie, but it's just, like, the fact that it's, like, no one's ever seen Jason since he died 27 years ago.
Yeah.
But he's totally alive after he drowned, and he's been living in the woods the whole time around Camp Crystal Lake. And maybe he'll come and get us.
Yeah.
And, you know, long story short, Jason comes and gets him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the premise right there.
I mean, yeah, basic slasher premise. Man shows up in camp, murderizes some teenagers.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
All right. Let's see. I guess we'll do the some general kind of discussion points right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything particular you want to talk about before we get to the spoiler section?
Yeah, so last time we talked about this film.
Oh, wait.
What?
Can we pause really quick? I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but I have to do something really quick. First of all, I need to tell you the tagline because we forgot that.
Yes, and the other thing. I forgot about the other thing, too.
Yeah, tagline, which I think is great, by the way. The body count continues.
Oh, that's not bad. That's actually
It's
pretty
pretty
cool.
good. Yeah.
That's not bad at all. I like that. The other thing, I have to guess who Jason was, right?
Yes.
Well, okay. So
Okay.
I have a funny answer and a not as funny answer that I think is closer, right? My funny answer, because what other iconic slasher film that I love came out in 1981 and has
Halloween 3.
no Halloween 2? And you know who plays Michael in Halloween 2? Good old Dick Warlock. So that's my first guess.
So that's Bob's first guess, and you were going to be transparent here. We are.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Bob.
Yeah.
Basically, I had to pause the movie for a second. I didn't even pause the movie. I pressed a button on the remote,
Mm-hmm.
and we're watching on Amazon, and, like, the actors came up.
Yep.
And it showed him the
Yeah.
Jason.
So I had
actor.
that spoiled, which sucks.
And
But that was my original guess, was Dick Warlock.
Yes.
I'm holding it.
He was holding that the whole time, and he was very disappointed he didn't get to make the joke. So we just let him make it.
Yeah.
Pretend it was very funny for me. No. So the Jason actor he saw, Warrington Gillette.
Mhm.
All right. However, here's the surprise twist, Bob. Not the only Jason actor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's the surprise.
Oh, that's
no matter
weird.
what you guess, you weren't gonna be right because you weren't gonna guess all of them.
Oh, okay. Cool.
All right. So Warrington Gillette, Steve Dash, both of them are credited as Jason, And then there's also Jerry Wallace, who's specifically credited as the Prowler, but that's also Jason.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so there's 3 credited Jasons in this film. Wild, right?
Why?
Well, we'll talk about this in a little bit. So this is kind of a nice lead-in. We'll get to it. Something about Friday the 13th sets, especially early on, I'm sure it's changed in the modern Friday the 13th movies, which is just the 2009 one.
Yeah.
There's no other modern Friday the 13th movies. Is that they were kind of shitty. Not shitty in a bad way, but they were kind of like not professional.
Okay.
Like there was a lot of stories of just people doing drugs
Oh, wow.
all the time. I mean, yeah, it was the 80s, but like rampant drug use.
Huh. Oh, there was another thing you were going to tell me, too, that I'll bring up in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to that too.
Oh, God.
Anyways, rampant drug use, and there were some issues and stuff like that. Because, like, at the end of the day, horror was still kind of considered schlocky.
Yeah.
And for how successful these movies were, they were still kind of like B-movies.
Mm-hmm.
And just like with B-movies, lots of inexperienced actors,
Mm-hmm.
lots of inexperienced, like, directors. Like, I think this director, this was his first time directing.
Oh, wow.
A lot of the cast and crew was legacy from the first film, but also, that was a low-budget production.
Yeah.
So there was issues. And so basically what happened with this one is that there was the original Jason, and then he left, and then they hired another one. Now, I did spend a little bit of time researching it, so I can kind of tell you which one's which.
Okay.
If you want.
Sure, yeah, I actually
Although
want to know.
I'm not, like, 100% certain on this, because, shocker, Jason wears a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes there's a lot of, they're not POV shots in this movie, like they are in the first one,
Like shots of his legs.
but there's shots of his legs or his hands or something. So, point being is it's hard to identify people.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'll tell you which one's which. Spoilers, those guys, because I'm going to have to reference some scenes.
Sure.
So if you don't want to know, like, anything about Jason's appearances, there you go. All right. So the first Jason actor to be hired on was Warrington Gillette. And I think he was only working on the film for like 2 weeks.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, not a long time. And then he quit. I don't necessarily know the specifics, but my understanding is that he had some issues with the stunts. Very specifically, he does one stunt, and it's the only one where I can specifically be like, that's him playing Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I don't think it's him, because he was only Jason for very early on in the production.
Yeah.
So I don't think a lot of the scenes he was able to film got in. But he is Jason very specifically when you get to see Jason's face.
Oh, that's him. Okay.
And there's a stunt during that.
Mm-hmm.
And when he originally did the stunt, he's jumping through something.
Yeah.
They didn't set that prop correctly.
Oh.
And so he just he rammed into it and bounced off.
Ah, that sucks,
Yes.
dude.
And also apparently not the only time that happened with a Jason actor doing a stunt, which
God
I think
damn.
says how, like, there were some issues with professionalness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he did that, and I think that's the only thing where I can explicitly be like, that's definitely him, especially because he left so early on.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently he just wasn't having a good time doing the stunts and doing the Jason makeup and stuff. So that's Warrington Gillette. Young dude. He's still alive.
Oh, really? That's cool.
And he does conventions and stuff. And then the other Jason actor, who is like the really big one, is Steve Dash. And he came on after Warrington Gillette left. And he was a stunt guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was primarily what he did. Warrington Gillette was like a younger actor, kind of around the same age as like the rest of the cast, and was very much kind of inexperienced at that point in his career.
Okay.
I think he originally tried out for like Paul Holt or something.
Okay.
And then he told, I assume, the director that he went to Hollywood stuntman school.
Oh, my God.
And that's why he got the Jason role. But anyways, Steve Dash came on after him, and like, he's a experienced stuntman. And so he does basically everything where you see Jason doing stunts. I believe that's him.
Okay.
Big dude. But he was an older man, and from what I've heard, people didn't necessarily like him as much. Because, like, he's this older stuntman dude, and the rest of the cast and, like, crew were, like,
bunch of, like, 20-somethings.
doing drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
And he just didn't want to be a part of that, so he wasn't very friendly with anyone. Cool dude. I've seen some clips of him from, like, talking. Sounds like a cool dude. I think he passed away in, like, 2015, though.
Damn. That name is familiar. I've heard that name before, but I didn't know anything else he was in.
I don't know. He did stunts on 9.5 Weeks. I don't think you know that film.
No.
Also, Warrington Gillette played Stanley in Time Walker. Thought
I don't
should
know that
mention
either.
Now. But yeah, so again, I'm not sure, but I think most of the scenes where you see Jason running around, like where you get to actually see him,
Yeah, like chasing people and shit.
that's Dash. Once again, there were some issues on set.
God damn.
I think there's one scene where he we get to see Jason fall over,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he very specifically like falls on his pickaxe. I think he like broke some ribs there.
Oh.
There's another scene during like the end where Jason gets hit with something,
Yeah.
and I think it like broke his finger because it
Ooh.
like actually hit his finger.
That sucks.
So he had to go to the hospital. So that's kind of like the main Jason actor.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is, as I said, Jerry Wallace, who again is credited as the Prowler.
Isn't that another slasher? Isn't
Yes.
there? I was about to say, there's a slasher called the Prowler.
But apparently that's like a secondary name for Jason, at
Huh.
least in this film. And it was super hard to find information on this. Like, much harder than the other two.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for instance, Steve Dash, I could tell it was Steve Dash with the mask off scene.
Yeah.
Because I've heard him talk about that story because I've seen him at a convention.
Yeah.
But also, like, this sounds really bad. You can tell it's him by the face because, like, I can see parts of Warrington Gillette's face
Yeah.
through the makeup. But anyways, couldn't find really a lot about Jerry Wallace playing the Prowler. But I think it's the scenes where we get to see, like, Jason's, like, hand
Okay.
or, like, his legs or something
Okay.
like that. Basically, the scenes that aren't stunts, it was him. Because it was just probably cheaper and easier to have him fill those in. Because a lot of them seem like they're, like, extra scenes they shot really quickly.
Yeah.
And, like, he's not an actor from what I could find. He was, he hasn't done a lot, but he was a production assistant on this film.
Okay.
If you're looking for, I think the only other thing he was associated with, he was a unit manager on Enormous Changes at the Last Minute Kevin Bacon film, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Kevin Bacon's on the poster. I don't know anything about it. So those are like the 3 credited Jason actors. If you can tell by the way I say that, there's more Jason actors.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this film has a lot, which is bizarre, and I think also goes to show how kind of weird the set was.
Yeah.
Kind of all over the place. First of all, there's a cold open for this film. We haven't talked about that yet. We'll talk about that probably in the spoiler section. But we do get to see Jason's legs for like half a minute.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different Jason actor.
Jesus Christ.
That is Ellen Lutter. She did costume design for this film, and very interestingly, is the only woman to ever play Jason.
Oh, how
because
nice.
She plays the legs there. She also did costume design on 50 First Dates, which
I haven't seen.
not a horror movie. It's Adam Sandler and oh my God, what's her name?
We've talked about this movie on the podcast.
I like that movie.
I know you do. We've talked about it on the podcast.
So that's one. And then this is a weird one because I could kind of find stuff on Ellen Lutter playing Jason, right?
Mhm.
That's kind of a known thing because it's a cool fact. But there's potentially a 5th person who plays Jason in this film.
Jesus Christ.
And it's kind of one of those things where I spent a while researching it to
Mhm.
figure it out. From what I could find, it's not confirmed like anywhere, but it's kind of like, I don't want to say a conspiracy theory, but it's like a theory people have
That's really funny.
that I was looking into, and I'm like, they're probably right.
Okay.
Like, it's not confirmed, but I look at it and I go, yeah, that's probably the case. There's a picture of Carl Fullerton, the guy who does the special makeup effects
Yeah.
for this film. Yeah, that guy who also did Silence of the Lambs stuff.
Yeah.
There's a picture of him in Jason's outfit, minus the mask,
Okay.
setting up one of the effects, very specifically, probably the most complicated one in the entire film.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a... Yeah.
Sorry, I was just miming it to Bob. There's a picture of him setting that effect up, right? In the Jason dress.
In the outfit?
Yeah. And I mean, in that part in the movie, we don't get to see the full Jason. We just kind of see like an arm
Yeah.
do that scene. And so that combined with like the fact that he's in that garb tells me that he probably played Jason in that scene,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense because that effect's so complicated
You have to be so precise with
that you have to be very precise. You basically have to know where to hit the fake part of the body with the
Mhm.
weapon. And the person who would probably know that the best and could do it in one take
Was the
without-
guy who made it.
Yeah. So probably a 5th Jason actor.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I spent a while because I was like, all right, here's the 3 credited. One of them's a Prowler. Don't know what that is. Let me double check that. And then I was like, oh, there's a 4th one. And I was like, oh, there might be a 5th one. Yeah, it took a while. All right.
3.5 Jasons. Jesus Christ. I'm saying half Jason because, like, one of the Jasons is just legs, and the other one's just an arm.
Yeah. All right. I guess we can move on.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's the thing I was going to talk about before we started talking about all the different Jason actors and whatnot.
It's a cool talk, though.
It's very interesting. I didn't know all that. That's kind of crazy, honestly. You know, the music in the first one,
Yeah.
so much. I like it so much more.
Do you?
Yeah, man. I do. I think, like, the problem that I have with the music in this is I don't know. I guess it's just like I'm accustomed to the classic like horror soundtrack, and this kind of just feels like all the music feels so derivative, I guess. It's just like, oh, I know exactly, like the music feels
I don't think that's your issue.
really.
Yeah. So the soundtrack again's done by Harry Manfredini.
Mm-hmm.
Same guy.
Yeah.
And he also uses some of the same music or very similar sounding music. And I think his soundtrack is really good in this. I think it might be just as good as the last film.
Maybe.
I think your issue is he uses music in a different way in this film. In the last film, he used it very sparingly.
Yeah.
And it was only used on the killer. And in this film, music's used more
throughout,
just like a classical movie kind of score.
Yeah, I just don't like it as much, I guess.
Well, I think the issue is it's not that you like the music less. I think it's just less impactful.
That's more what I mean. I don't like the usage of the music in this film as much as I like it in the original.
Fair enough. They had to transition sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well do it now because like that use of very little music fit the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's more of a suspenseful like whodunit.
Yeah.
Versus this one's just a straight up slasher. Very different genres and different things are expected of them and different things work.
That's fair.
And I think that style of music wouldn't have worked really well with this one.
Yeah. I guess it's just a preference thing of like,
No, it's less impactful, you're right, but it's just sometimes you just gotta change.
Yeah. Something else I want to talk about that isn't really spoilers. The characters in this film, I like them a lot more
Oh, yeah.
than in the original.
It's much, much more well-written characters.
Yeah.
Even though there's, like, more of them.
Yeah, they're a lot more likable.
Each one feels more in-depth. The thing I'll say here, I'm just gonna say this now. This film, in a lot of ways, feels like a higher budget, more well-shot rehash of the last film. A lot of the characters are just, like, very, very similar, but just more interesting. The premise of being at a sleepaway camp, same thing.
Yeah.
Just a lot of stuff feels the same. I mean, there's even, like, a similar sequence to get everyone split up.
Yeah.
You know? In a lot of ways, I guess what I'm saying is it's this film's almost like a more well-done version of the last film in some ways.
In some ways.
Yeah. Now, again, it's a very different film because, like I said, I think it's essentially a different genre.
Mm-hmm.
But faster moving, better characters. Kind of the big thing to know.
Yeah, and I think the fact that the characters are more well-characterized makes a lot of their deaths and or, like, character moments more impactful. It makes me, like, feel it more, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm going to be honest, in the first one, when some people die, I went, they
I
died.
don't care. Yeah.
I don't care. But in this one, it's like, oh, no! One of the characters died, and I went, no! 'Cause I
Yeah.
like him so much.
And, I mean, I think it doubly holds true because, again, I think some of the characters are basically characters from the first movie, but carried over. For
Yeah.
instance, in the first film, there's these characters, Alice and Steve. So
Mhm.
Alice is basically, like, probably the main camp person.
Yeah.
She was at the camp before all the other characters arrived. And there's Steve, who's the owner. And they kind of had a romance. It felt very uncomfortable
Yeah.
and weirdly forced. And it was only shown for, like, half a second.
Mm-hmm.
But in this film, there's a similar thing where it's Ginny, who's, like, the assistant camp director, and then the camp director, who's Paul Holt.
Yep.
And they have an actually fully fleshed romance
Yeah,
going.
and
it's
it's
nice.
nice.
In a similar vein, Mark and Vicky
Mhm.
have two characters that have a great romance in this film.
Yeah.
I think it's super cute. I love it.
It's great. I like Mark.
It's probably my favorite part of this whole movie is those two because they're just like, they're not like super important,
No.
but they're super cute.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, once you've seen the film once, if you watch it back, you can see them flirting in the background the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Or very specifically, Vicky macking on this guy the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, in the scene where everyone's swimming in the lake, she is very specifically sitting with him instead of swimming.
Yeah.
Kind of sweet stuff.
They also, like, they replace, in the first film, there's a character named Ned, who is, like, the funny guy, who's supposed to be, like, you know, this goofy,
Is that his name, Ned?
his name is Ned.
Oh.
They replace him with a man named Ted, which is a much better version of Ned.
Oh my god,
He's
yeah.
so much more, because Ned is so unbearable.
Ned is just like, first of all, he wasn't funny.
No.
He was just an
A dickhead.
asshole.
He's an asshole.
At one point, well, first of all, he does something that's really racist.
That's true.
I mean, it was the 80s, so, like, I'm not saying it was acceptable, but, like,
It was
not shocking.
Yeah.
But he does something really racist and is also just a shithead about it.
Yeah.
But also, like, he did things as jokes that were also, well, not funny, were also just, like, dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, shooting an arrow at someone.
Yeah.
In this film, there's Ted.
Yeah.
Who's also a jokester and, like, fucks with people, but was very specifically, like, not
Not
the
an
worst.
asshole.
Yeah.
Like, he would mess with you, but you knew it was a joke and it was funny.
Like, really early on in this film, and I don't feel bad about, like, spoiling this here. We see two characters getting their car towed away,
Oh, yeah.
and they're chasing after it, and right as it goes around the corner, you just see Teddy. He's like, surprise!
Yeah.
Because he got this guy to, like, pull their car away, like, 20 feet
Mm-hmm.
around the corner as a joke. Because, assumedly, he knows these two, and they're friends.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, where it's just, like, kind of a dickhead move. Like, he's that guy.
Yeah.
But he's also, like, not the worst, and so I could totally get these characters being around him.
Yeah. He's
Unlike-
also just really funny later, too.
Oh, yeah.
He does some really funny stuff.
I will say, he is a ginger dude, and just super tall and lanky.
Yeah. I think at one point he's like, because, it's the 80s, everyone's wearing super short shorts. You went, look at his fucking legs.
I know!
He's got long
He
ass
looks
legs.
like he could play Ichabod Crane. You know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking
From,
about. Sleepy Hollow.
Headless Horseman? Yeah, Headless Horseman. Sleepy Hollow. Super gangly. And also his shorts only go up to, like, his half of his thigh.
Yeah.
But they look like normal shorts. I think his legs are just that long.
Yeah.
Wild. But yeah, better characters. More nudity in this film, though.
There's a lot of nudity in
A
this
lot
film.
of nudity.
And I was surprised.
And,
Let
like,
me be honest.
I'll be honest, you can tell why it's there.
Well, yeah.
It's the combination of probably horny staff,
Yeah.
but also just, like, how do we get people in seats? What do people expect from a slasher?
Mm-hmm.
Let's add more nudity, more gore. 'Cause
Yeah.
this film has that, too. You couldn't tell from the increased amount of characters.
Yeah.
There's more bodies.
More people to kill.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. You can tell me if I should shut up in a second, if this should go in the spoiler section. I do have a complaint about the kills, but I'm not going to be specific. I'm just going to put this out there. I don't like any of them nearly as much as the first one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll talk about this later. I think the kills in this one are more creative.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm of the exact opposite opinion.
Oh, no. I thought the kills in the first one were mostly kind of boring. Except for one. One of them's pretty cool.
I felt like most of them in this film are so meh.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you right now. This is going to go here. Just don't be very specific.
Yeah.
Do you think they were meh because you didn't get to see them?
No, not even the ones I got to see, I was like, oh, whatever. They
Oh.
don't feel good.
Nah, I thought they felt pretty decent.
Really?
Yeah, part of the issue, though, is, like, a minute was cut
That's completely fair.
versus
I hadn't considered.
35 seconds. That's what I'm trying to get at. I think these kills were a lot more creative, like how people died,
Mm-hmm.
but they feel lacking in a way that's very much like, from experience, I can tell there was stuff cut.
See,
That
I
would
couldn't
help
tell stuff
better.
was really cut. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
really
yeah,
catch
yeah.
it.
A lot of the kills in this film, and again, we're talking about this now, you get to see them happen,
Yeah.
and then you don't get to see, like, the effects of that kill.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I just
Yeah, that's because stuff was cut.
okay. Well,
That, like, literally for almost every kill, you can tell there was, like, at least 2 or 3 seconds, bare minimum, cut from each one.
that doesn't really change my opinion because it's not really. I don't get to see that,
I mean, that's fair. I'm just saying, like,
but that does suck.
from a creative aspect, I think how people died in this one is more creative, like weapons and stuff like that. But yeah, you do definitely get to see the kills more carried out in the first one.
Yeah, and I don't know. I felt they lacked when I witnessed them, but knowing that stuff got cut kind of pads the blow a little bit.
Fair. I mean, it's one of those shitty things when, like, this is what people would have seen in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's easily accessible, so, like, that's how you view it. But it definitely sucks for me because I'm like, these kills I think are cooler, but they don't look as good
Yeah,
because I just didn't get to see them.
I mean, fair enough.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Before we get to the spoiler section, no, I don't think so.
Okay, then I'm gonna mention the thing that might make you uncomfy. Right
Oh, fuck, I forgot about this.
now.
Yeah.
We were watching the movie and I was like, Bob, I'm gonna tell you something that might make you uncomfy. He was like, how uncomfy? It's like, I don't know, but why don't I save this because it's a good discussion for now.
Oh, God.
So there was basically 3 couples in this film, right?
Yeah.
Paul Holt and Ginny.
Yeah.
Mark and Vicky,
Mm-hmm.
best couple. Which, fun fact about them,
Oh,
Vicky's actress apparently had the hots from Mark's actress,
nice.
like, super into him because she thought he was hot.
He is hot.
And
Dude, he's jacked.
he is a very big man,
Yeah.
which they prove out throughout the movie because he's just arm wrestling
He's arm
all
wrestling
the time.
people, and it's destroying them. It's awesome.
I think the only time we see someone beat him is they used both hands.
Yeah.
But apparently he was very nice about it when he turned her down because he was like, yeah, not interested.
Damn.
I'm gay.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So,
Sucks for her.
fun fact, though.
Good for him.
And then there's, Jeff and Sandra?
Yep.
So 3 couples, right?
Mm-hmm.
two of those couples, very specifically Mark and Vicky, and Jeff and Sandra, the two women were 17 at the time of shooting.
Oh.
And out of the three couples, those are the two where the women are sexualized on screen.
Yeah.
We get to see Vicky changing,
Yep.
although it's from far away.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sandra has a sex scene.
Yeah.
And apparently, like, they film stuff. And then when it was like, you know, when the producers were like, oh, she's 17, you can't put that in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn.
That's why it feels weirdly cut.
I was about to say that didn't feel like, because I expected something similar to
it
the scene
feels
we
like
got.
they shot stuff and
Yeah.
then it wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have gotten that far for
No,
either character.
it shouldn't have gotten that far at all.
I mean, Vicky's changing, but like, and you don't see anything,
No.
but you could tell you maybe we're supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
but the Sandra one is definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not great.
No, I didn't know that.
And
God
again,
damn.
maybe some issues with the set there
Mm-hmm.
of just
Motherfucker.
like professionalness.
That sucks.
Like, I don't think it was a bad set. I think people had an okay time on there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people had fun.
But it's just like a poorly managed set because, like, there's so much oversight that has to go through for them to have filmed all of that.
But that's very unprofessional. And
Exactly.
I mean, I already talked about people doing drugs.
Yeah.
Apparently, the one kill.
Yeah.
Where, like, I talked about it where I think Carl Fullerton was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently it was very uncomfortable for the actors involved being killed.
No.
And at one point in time, one of the people on staff, like, walked up to one of the people.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, open your mouth, and blew white powder into his mouth.
What the fuck?
So he'd feel better.
That's fucked up.
Apparently it was a good time, though.
Probably.
Afterwards.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Apparently he wasn't like it beforehand, and then afterwards, like, yeah.
Wow. That's fucking wild.
Okay. I mean, I don't have anything else I think I want to talk about in, like, the non-spoiler section.
Yeah.
So I think we can get to the spoiler section. You're okay with that?
Sure. Hello, everybody. This is Future Bob coming at you to let you know that if you do not want these major spoilers for this movie, please skip to 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 4 seconds immediately. Once again, that's 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 4 seconds immediately.
Okay, so spoiler section now, guys. So hope you want spoilers. Yeah. All right, straight off the bat, I want to talk about the cold open.
Yeah.
Right. So, first of all, this film has an egregious, like, summary of the last movie?
Oh my god. It's like I'm watching, like, one of those shows where it plays the last 10 minutes of the last episode at the start of the next episode.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
The way you said it.
No, I know. I'm tired and stupid.
It sounded like Boomhauer. Did you ever watch King of the Hill?
Yeah, I watch King of the
Okay.
Hill. King of the Hill is very good.
It's coming back.
I know. I'm
So excited.
excited but worried.
Yeah, but it's the original creator.
Yeah, that's nice.
Anyways, and this, we actually checked how long it was, and that's
Yeah.
how Bob saw the Jason actor. It's like 6 minutes, 30
It's
seconds.
like 6.5 minutes.
Of flashback. It's very specifically, there's an intro where we get to see Jason's legs,
Yeah.
and then we focus on Alice, the final girl from the last film.
Mm-hmm.
That's why this is in the spoiler section. And she's sleeping. And as she's sleeping, I guess we're seeing her dreams.
Yeah, she's having like a nightmare.
But it's just clips from the last movie. And it's very specifically clips from the last 10, 15 minutes of that movie.
Yeah.
And basically the conclusion of that film.
Yeah. So if you hadn't seen it, spoiled.
Yeah, heavy spoilers. And it's just egregious. A, because it's 6 minutes long.
It's so long.
And maybe it's 5 if we cut out the Jason leg stuff and maybe just the clips of Alice. But still, super long. And like the worst part of that is the amount of clips it's showing is maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's a 5-minute clip. So you basically see the whole end of the last film.
Yep.
Which, the best part of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But even worse, it's not like this film came out a long time ago.
No.
Or a long time since the last film. It came out 10 months.
Yeah.
10 months difference. And I it just didn't need that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit because they have to like somehow work the logic in that Jason is still alive.
They have to establish it
Because-
somehow.
Again, spoilers. In the last film, Jason isn't the killer.
No.
Fucking Pamela Voorhees. Jason is dead. He was a
Jason's
dead
been
child.
dead.
He died 22 years before that film. And I think the only reason they have that summary in there is because at the very end of this movie, there's this weird dream sequence that if you like somehow read the right way, you squint your eyes and you run around in a circle, could maybe imply Jason's alive.
Maybe.
Even though in that sequence, he's a dead kid. And in this movie, he's 27. Or, well, no, probably 37.
Older, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
'Cause he was probably
like
like 10 when he
10
died.
when he drowned, yeah.
And this is 27 years later. He's pretty old, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's that intro sequence. It's super long. It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Sucks if you're watching these movies back to back, kind of like we are.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I get if there was a longer period of time between the films, but it came out less than a year ago, and you're going to show me the last 10 minutes of the first film?
Yeah, and it's worse for a rewatch.
It is. It's god-awful, because I'm just, like, bored the whole time.
But then after that, it's just kind of a sequence of Alice walking around her apartment.
Yep.
And that's a pretty classic, I don't know, cold open stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's pretty decent.
It's fine.
Way it's shot is very voyeuristic.
It's cool.
Like, it feels like someone's doing I don't know, like a handheld cam shot.
Yeah.
And the camera just kind of moves around and does, like, a really long take. Just fairly impressive, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bunch of, like, scares just because, like, the camera zooms in ways you think it's a POV shot, even though it's not. And I thought that was really, really well done. But long story short, Alice get murked.
Yeah, which I was upset about.
She's scared because she goes to call, I think, her mom back, and the lines are down, and she's got trauma. And so when the phone lines are down, she's like, oh, let me check the door. She checks the lock, locks it, and then she starts walking around her house. And you can tell she's nervous. And she's so nervous, in fact, that she picks up an ice pick, which, as I was talking to Bob about during the movie, something you don't see people owning nowadays.
No.
Both because it's a scary movie and a scary movie weapon, but also just like,
You don't need it.
you don't need it. But she picks up an ice pick, and she goes to open the fridge because she's feeding her cat.
Yeah.
Assumedly milk, right?
Or, like, refrigerated cat food. That's a thing.
I guess, yeah, but
Some people refrigerate their cat food and stuff.
I guess. And in the fridge, Pamela Voorhees' head.
Yep.
2 months old, we learn, right?
Yeah.
Looks pretty good.
Not bad.
I think that wasn't done by Carl Fullerton.
Oh.
I think that was done by the original guy who was supposed to come on.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
But anyways, yeah, she sees Pamela's head, and then Jason grabs her hand with the ice pick. We just see his hand grab it and then shove it into her temple.
Yeah.
Pretty sick kill.
Not bad.
Hey, you want to hear another fact about, like, things going wrong on set?
Oh, no.
Yeah, so you know how when you stab someone on a film, the thing's supposed to go into the
Yeah,
handle?
it's like compressive.
Didn't do that.
Ow!
So it actually stabbed her in the head.
Ow!
Not all the way in, but, like, it just stabbed her before they cut.
Ooh, that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
God bless.
Also,
This movie's a fucking nightmare.
again, for shitty stuff. A, there was no dialogue written for this scene. So Alice's actress, and I forget her name off the top of my head, so I'm going to go grab it from my last notes. Adrienne King, improv that all.
Wow.
I think she does a good job
Yeah.
improving through that cold open.
Mm-hmm.
She was also apparently, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, not told that she was going to die in this cold open. They just asked her, do you want to come back for a sequel? And she was like, yeah. And then she got on set and they were like, you're dying now.
God
right
damn,
at
that
the beginning.
sucks.
Which really is really shitty. Especially because it's like, not only are you dying right now, but we're not going to help you get through this scene at all.
No.
Figure it out yourself. No, you're excited to be here.
That sucks.
That sucks. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. Next up, kills. Because we kind of already touched on that, right?
Yeah, we did.
Again, I think they're pretty creative in this film. So versus the last film, there was mostly throat slits with a Bowie knife,
And
right?
that is continued.
Yes, but we'll get to that because we're just talking about the first film right now. Throat slits with Bowie knife.
Mm-hmm.
There's an axe to the face.
Which I like that one.
That one's good because we get to see the axe in the face, even if we don't get to see it go in.
Mm-hmm. Arrow through the throat.
An arrow through the throat, which is by far the best kill of that movie because it's super creative.
It's super good.
It's super great. It comes from under the
Under
bed.
the bed, yeah.
Love it. That's probably my favorite kill in that movie, and it's
Same.
probably one of the best ones in the franchise. Is there any other unique ones though? I think it's just the axe and the arrow.
Yeah. The rest of them
Okay.
are gut stabs, knife slits.
I don't know. Besides like the axe and the arrow, I think knife slits are not just super interesting. They're well done,
Yeah,
They're
they're
very
well
well done.
done.
especially because you get to see the blood ooze and everything.
Mhm.
They're just not super interesting,
Yeah.
especially because it's like mostly on screen. I think if you got to see the attacker wrestling with them, it would have been better. But obviously, it's a whodunit movie, and they can't show that it's Pam.
Yeah.
In this film, I think there's just a lot more interesting kills. I mean, straight up, well, there's a couple throat slits. They're just more creative weapons. Our first one is
Is it the garrote?
it's a garrote,
I don't hate that one.
which is
I'll-
pretty
I'll-
cool.
I'll be okay with that one.
Our next throat slit is a machete, and it's the cool machete with like the hook on the end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
I don't see those really. I've seen them in old films.
Yeah.
I don't think they make them anymore,
I don't know.
really. I assume that design is so you can take the hook and like stab it into a tree and then just leave it hanging like that.
Maybe. I have no idea.
It looks pretty fucking cool though.
They're pretty cool.
Although it uses the back of the blade for the
Yeah.
throat slit, which is a little bit weird. To me, that implies they might have been using a real machete for that shot.
Which is insane.
Which is
and you
insane.
should never do.
Especially because there's the hook end on the back end of it.
Mhm.
But that there's that one. And then how does that guy in the house die? Is that a throat slit with a Bowie knife?
Oh, which one are you talking about? Oh,
Do you remember?
Oh,
No. He died
that's a
somewhere
ha-
else.
I was about to say, that was a hammer.
Yeah. You know what a hammer is?
Do you know what a hammer? I actually like that one. I forgot
Yeah,
about
that
that
guy gets a hammer, like a claw hammer, to the back
You
of
know
the
what?
head.
I forgot about the way that what's his fuck dies with the.
Yeah. There's another guy who
That's
gets
cool. I forgot about that one. I forgot
slashed
about
in the
that one.
front of the face with the same machete.
And it gets left in.
It goes full in his face. It lodges in to the bone,
Yeah.
which really cool thing because they had to shoot that practically.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that kill is so cool because they zoom in on the back of the head before they do it.
Yeah.
And the only kill we saw like on someone's head before was
The axe in the face.
No, in this film, Bob.
Oh, in this.
We're
film,
just
sorry.
talking about this.
Sorry.
film. The only other kill we saw where someone got hit in the head in this film was the hammer to the back of the head.
Yeah, and it was the claw.
So
into the
when we're
hammer.
zooming into the back of this guy's head, we assume he's going to get hit in the back of the head,
Mhm.
and then out of nowhere he gets hit in the front.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think it's an homage to the axe
Mhm.
in the front of the head
I'd completely forgotten about that kill.
in the first film. I think it looks pretty good when we get to see it.
Yeah.
We also have the benefit of getting to see the axe go into the face,
Mm-hmm.
which is really cool. And then we get to see the body flop down the stairs.
It's pretty rad.
Which is rad. There's a weird cut at the end of it.
Yeah.
Really weird. Some weird editing in this film. But that's super cool,
Mhm.
especially because, like, this is a question I have. I'm not sure if you have an input on this or not, but I think there's a real person falling down the stairs there.
No way.
The body flops in a way that looks really real.
I assumed that was a dummy.
I know, but I look at it and I'm like, that should be a dummy, but I think that's a real person.
If that's a real person, that's a cool fucking stunt.
Yeah, rad if it's a real person. I've watched this film a couple times, and every time I'm like, I'm more and more sure that's a real person falling down the stairs very dangerously with a fake axe in their head. Not a fake axe, a fake machete in their
yeah.
head. The best kill in this movie, though, spear through two people. They just finished banging.
Yeah.
This was the hardest shot of the film. This is the one I think Carl Fullerton was doing. Goes right through the back of the dude who's on top.
Yep.
And the best part is the girl gets to see it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And right before she screams, it goes right through the torso. Super cool. And you get to see the axe come out the bottom.
Yeah.
From what I can tell, that was the most cut down kill because you don't really get to see like the after effects.
You don't get to see basically anything except
Yeah.
for her scream, and then it cuts to the bottom, it goes through him.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't like that kill that much. It's cool in theory.
Yeah.
But it's so mid otherwise.
Fair
it just
enough.
makes me so upset.
Was there any other kills?
I don't know. I guess first of all, I forgot about the one with the stairs. That one is really cool.
So
I
rad.
forgot that kill even happened.
Oh, someone gets stabbed in the stomach, and we get to see like the blood gushing out of their mouth.
When?
It's the person who discovers the bodies of the sex couple.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool, especially because Jason has picked up the dude and hung him on the wall by his neck.
That's cool.
I guess my thing is here, it sucks that we don't get to see them,
Mm-hmm.
but the way I rate kills in a movie like this is by creativity, because I've seen kills 1,000 times. I've seen all the main slasher series. They're all the same. And so what really stands out is like how creative your kills are, especially because I, as a modern person, have access to Blu-rays.
Yeah.
And am fully aware that a lot of these films were cut down. And so the way we're seeing them is not how they are intended. So I like to view them as like how they're supposed to be rather than how they are presented in theaters. And it sucks that we're viewing these on like the theatrical cut. But point being is I think the kills in this film are a lot more creative. Because like even the throat slits are cool weapons. What, you don't think a garrote's a cool weapon?
I don't know. I guess.
Or a machete? Much cooler than a Bowie knife.
I mean, it's cool.
And it's just, it's the sucky fact that like we just don't get to see them. So they feel less impactful. So
Yeah.
while they're more inventive, which is what I look for in a kill, they are a lot less visually interesting. But then
Mhm.
again, I don't blame the film for that. I do think the kills, as we see the movies theatrically, are better in the first film, but they are more creative in this film.
That's fair. I don't know. I think my main issue is I just wanted to see more of it.
Yeah. But that's not up to them.
Yeah.
They shot more. You just didn't get it. Blame the MPAA.
I always look. Any chance I get, I'll blame the fucking MPAA. I
But
hate them.
Good thing they found all that cut footage now, so you can go watch it if you get the right Blu-ray.
I'm gonna try to.
I do want to mention though that like, I think the coolest film of this movie is the spear through the back. It's also
Yeah.
the shittiest one because it's cut so much. Like you get to see the reaction of the character before they're stabbed, and then the whole thing kind of at the bottom
Yeah.
where the spearhead's gone through the bed. Which those are both cool shots, and it's a good way to imply that.
But I would love to have seen the middle.
But I would have loved to have seen it. And they definitely shot the stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it was cut pretty heavily, obviously. Like, you barely see anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to say that kill is definitely a ripoff of another film. You've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an Italian film.
I was thinking about it. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, so there's this famous Italian director. His name's Mario Bava. I don't know if you've ever heard Mario Bava.
Nope.
He's like a really famous guy who helped start the Giallo movement
Yes.
of Italian slashers,
Mm-hmm.
which is, for anyone who doesn't know, it's this genre of like kind of whodunit murder things, where it's basically like there's a killer and you kind of don't really get to see them to the end, and usually it's just like a gloved figure.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent of how early slashers in America are. Like, I mean, the original Friday the 13th kind of feels like that, where it's like we just kind of see the killer's hands and nothing else till the very, very end. But anyways, Mario Bava did some Giallo films, but he also did some films that were very bloody and just like over the top. Some of them were still like Giallo, but just like, I guess, proto like slashers kind of stuff.
Sure.
Because like slashers hadn't really taken off, especially in Italy at that point. But you know, it was a murder mystery kind of thing, but with excessive blood. He did this film in 1971, so 10 years before this one, called A Bay of Blood.
Oh my god.
Cool name, right?
That's a cool name.
Its American title is even cooler. It's called Twitch of the Death Nerve,
Oh my god.
which assumedly is like, you know, when someone has like a death twitch.
Yeah.
Cool last name. Good movie.
Mm.
Love it.
We'll probably watch it at some point.
It's kind of like, in a lot of ways, it feels like a Friday the 13th movie, like an early Friday the 13th movie,
Mm-hmm.
bloodier and well written.
Ooh, hell yeah.
And, you know, not to spoil things too much, but there is like that kill with the spear in that film.
Very similar kill, I assume.
Very similar kill. But just like, you actually get to see it.
That's
And
what I wanted.
Assumedly, you would have gotten to see it in this film.
Yeah.
But it sucks. From what I could tell, it wasn't like a ripoff, at least as
Oh.
far as the director was concerned. However, some of the like investors and producers for this film had probably definitely seen that film and suggested something like that. So,
Yeah.
while it wasn't an intentional ripoff from like the director or like the writing standpoint,
Yeah.
it was probably from a executive standpoint.
And I mean, like, I get saying like it's a ripoff, but also like that man doesn't own the rights to that exact style of kill or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like, you know,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
there's like using similar instruments, and then there's like the exact same kill.
Well, yeah.
And also like it would maybe be an homage if both films were very famous.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to remember Twitch of the Death Nerve was an Italian film, and
Yeah.
so it was a foreign feature coming to America,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely would not have been super well known. So it's like an executive producer saw this like cool kill in this lesser known movie in the States and was like, let's put it in a film here, no one's ever seen it. Let's steal it, you know?
That's fair.
I also want to mention like they use a machete in that film. It's actually on the cover. That it's the same hooked machete. Just want to mention that because I think that's kind of interesting. Because I think it's a straight machete in the last film when we get to see it.
Yeah. No, it's a normal machete.
But it's the hooked one in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if that's related too. So yeah, that's the kill stuff, and I know me and Bob have different opinions on that, but I think that's how we view it.
Yeah.
Differently. It also helps that I've seen some of the full clips.
Yeah, that's my thing, man. Like, okay, so I'll mention it now because I think it's kind of relevant when talking about this film and the comparison I made. There are parts of this film that remind me very much of My Bloody Valentine, which is a movie I really like.
Yeah.
And I very recently watched the uncut version of that.
So much better, right?
10 times better.
Yeah.
I bet you if I watched the uncut version of this, I would say it's 10 times better.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, we're viewing the theatrical version. This is my way of telling you when I look at kills. I'm going to be honest. I'd recommend doing this too because I think it's a way to get more enjoyment out of a horror film.
Sure.
It's just to look at them for creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that happens naturally. And as we watch more slasher films, which are, as you'll find out, slashers eventually become just a movie that focuses on the kills.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get to that point and used to that, it's really all about how they happen. Because you see 400 teenagers dying, and it's just the same old schlock. But how
Yeah.
they die is what matters, not
Mhm.
how graphic it is. So kills that. Also, just want to mention this now. Spoiler here for like characters who live and die. You know who gets to live?
Motherfucking Ted.
Luckiest man ever.
Oh my God, so lucky.
like
It's awesome.
it's so awesome because the goofball character rarely, if ever, lives in a film like
And also,
this.
I'm spoiler for the first one. I'm pretty sure Ned almost immediately dies.
Oh yeah, Ned I think was the
He might have been like the second
besides
kill.
the cold open kill for
Yeah.
that film, and the secondary cold open kill, because there's
Mhm.
like there's a cold open kill, and then there's like the kill at the beginning of the movie,
Mhm.
and then there's a 40-minute jump. Besides from that, he's like the first kill in that
Yeah.
film, and you get that. That's because Ned is like shitty, but in this film, the shitty aspects of Ned are put into Scott,
Oh God,
who's
Scott
the perv,
sucks.
who sucks, gets his throat slit somehow.
Yeah.
Sorry for that spoiler, guys. He sucks though.
He does suck.
He's just a sucky perv. But yeah, Ted lived.
Ted's great.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to
Purely
see it
by
often.
luck, but you know.
But also,
whatever.
it's just very funny because it's purely on luck.
Mhm.
Like, and it's super weird because he's a named character, but he stays behind with all the unnamed characters.
Mhm.
And they even give you a reasoning that he stays behind because we see everyone else leave and we just hear him ask, is there any place I can go after this to go drink so I don't have to go back to camp?
Yep.
It's great stuff. All right. Do you have anything else to talk about before we talk about the ending of this film?
Yeah. This should go in the spoiler section.
Oh, wait, Jason?
Yeah, it's
How he
Jason
looks?
related. Well, not even that.
Oh, what were you going to talk
well,
about?
yeah, how he looks.
I was
Kind
going
of.
to talk about the...
Yeah, that's what I was gonna talk about.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot to mention that in the second
Mhm.
you said that. I was like, let me mention that now. I guess I was going to mention it at the ending because kind of have to.
Yeah, I mean it's important because like I didn't know this was gonna be like this.
Yeah, that was cool that you didn't know that. I
Mhm.
thought it would be spoiled for you because of the games.
Nope.
Because I know you've seen clips from the games,
Mhm.
and I know
I assume that's probably one of the skins you can get.
is you can get different skins. It's the one I think people use the least because it's not really iconic.
No, but it's still cool.
And most of the, but I think it's cool because at least in that game, it's the most unique skin because the other ones are just different colorizations and stuff like that.
Yeah, or like the Jason X suit.
Yeah. But in this movie, Jason's wearing his original attire, which is, I think he looks like a coal miner.
You kept saying that.
He's wearing blue overalls,
Mm-hmm.
a plaid shirt, and then he has a pillowcase over his head, and it's tied around his neck, and he's got like one eye hole.
Yep.
To be honest, I think he looks like a coal miner because it's the overalls and plaid,
Mhm.
but it's very specifically for most of the scenes we get to see him. He's either carrying a pitchfork
Or a pickaxe.
or a pickaxe, and the
Yeah.
pickaxe fits so well.
yeah. Once again, reminds me of My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah. And yeah, I just think it's really interesting that he doesn't wear a hockey mask in this film
Mm-hmm.
because, like, you know, it's one of those things where, like, we talked about this on the last movie, but, like, Jason's what's synonymous with this series.
Oh yeah.
Right? And so not seeing Jason in a Friday the 13th movie was really weird in
Yep.
that film. And in a similar way, the way we see Jason is very specific to the Friday the 13th franchise. It's big dude, hockey mask, and also not dressed like that.
No.
Usually more intimidating and less like crazed woodmen.
Mm-hmm.
And so just seeing him like that, but also with a sack over his head is super bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason for that, for why he was wearing a sack over his head, is twofold. A, it's because they didn't want to show his face. Because, like,
Fair.
it's implied in that weird dream sequence in the last movie, which, again, I think is all in Alice's head, is that he looks kind of funky.
Yeah, he looks deformed.
At least his face looks deformed. And in this film, there's a carryover from that film.
Mm-hmm.
I think they go a lot more crazy on it because he didn't look that deformed in the first film.
No, his head was a little bulbous. That was like it, really.
But he looked mostly normal.
Yeah, he's
Except he was
mostly
bald
fine.
for like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
But in this film, like, his face is very, like, I hate to say it, but, like, they make him look, like, more monstrous and less human
Mm-hmm.
for, like, how different he looks,
Yeah.
which is intentional. I mean, they don't want him to look like your average human being.
Well, no, because he's not scary.
Yeah. But they want to cover that up the whole time. I mean,
Mhm.
like I said, they only show him at the very end, and he does a stunt during it. And it's a cool reveal for his face.
It's pretty good.
But other time he's wearing the sack. And they knew they wanted to do that to cover his head so they could just reveal the face at the end. But they didn't know what to use. Like, obviously, because that's a hard decision going like, okay, we have a killer, but we're going to cover his face with a mask.
Yeah.
What do we use as an iconic mask? And they couldn't come up with an idea. And eventually the pillow sack was suggested by one of the Jason actors, Alan Luter, who obviously did costume design on this film.
Oh, that makes sense.
You know, the one lady that ever played Jason. Not
Mhm.
that she ever wore the mask on her head.
No.
But she got the idea from another film. So it's called The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which I don't know if you've heard about that film.
I don't know anything about it.
Came out in 1976. It's about a real murderer in this real town.
Holy
That
shit.
very famously went on a murder spree, and then no one caught ever.
Oh, fuck that.
But yeah, in that film, he wears that same mask.
Like a pillowcase on his head?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it kind of looks similar, and it's got that same. I think it only has one eye hole too. It's an interesting film. I mean, it's it's kind of weird. It's based on the 1946 Texarkana moonlight murders.
Oh, I know about those.
Yeah.
I listened to a true crime podcast that covered all those murders.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's a movie about it.
We should watch that.
I think there's
then.
like a 2010 remake. If we ever do like a true crime kind of thing.
Oh, then we can watch. What is that one with what's his face from Slither? That I can't remember his name now. The guy that plays Grant.
Oh,
What is that? A movie that he's in? Something Portrait of a Serial Killer?
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a true crime one though, is it?
Is it? I don't know.
Well, I meant true crime is in like based on real life.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Not like
Okay.
an actual true crime thing.
Yeah. Okay.
You are right that like in true crime, but I meant more specifically like
Mm-hmm.
true crime. Also, you want to see what that mask looks like in that film?
Sure.
I don't feel that bad about showing it to you.
That is scary.
Yeah, but you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So yeah, that's how he looks. And then his makeup, we've talked about. It looks pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
You can again. I've seen the Jason actor during the scene where it's like you actually see his face
Mm-hmm.
in real life, Warrington Gillette, and you can tell it's Warrington Gillette, which is super interesting because having watched this film again after having seen him, it's like, oh yeah, that's totally Warrington Gillette.
That's funny.
But yeah, I guess we can talk about the ending now.
Yeah.
It's a little interesting. It's I think a cool ending, but it's a little odd.
Fair. I definitely think it's interesting.
First of all, right off the bat, it's not like the coolest Final Girl circuit I've ever seen. Mostly because the bodies are like revealed, kind of as the movie goes, which is fine.
Yeah.
But the real issue is like the bodies are revealed, and then the Final Girl starts running around. Which heavy spoilers here. I'm just gonna tell you who it is, so this is easier. It's Ginny,
Mm-hmm.
which is very obvious from the beginning of the
Oh
film.
yeah, for sure.
Especially because the credits say starring. Oh my God, what's her name? I always struggle with this. Amy Steele, cool name. But it's basically they show the bodies, and then it's Ginny running away.
And I'm gonna be real. This one's long.
It is long.
It's a long ass Final Girl
However,
circuit.
I will say, one of the things it does in this Final Girl circuit that not a lot of horror movies do, Bob's kind of spoiled, so this doesn't feel like probably a big enough deal to him. She fights back effectively.
Oh yeah.
That's not the most common thing
Mm-mm.
ever. Usually it's running and screaming,
Yeah.
but Ginny fights back.
She fucking WWE's his
She
ass.
is a pretty badass Final Girl.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. There's a couple scenes where she like outsmarts him
Yeah.
or like just beats the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm. Kicks him right in his fucking nuts.
Yeah, which is such a cool thing to see. There's a couple little things in this Final Girl sequence that you don't, I think, normally see in a film like this.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, it's so early on in the series that, like, people haven't latched on to Jason as a character yet.
No.
And so they don't want to see just Jason triumphing, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You're still supposed to care about these characters a little bit. And so Jason feels very human in this
Mhm.
film.
He does.
Like, he actually takes damage, and very obvious way, he gets kicked in the balls, and he goes down.
Yep.
And, I hadn't really thought about that when I've seen this film before, but that's such a weird thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really normally think about the fact that, like, oh, yeah, our big hulking male killers can get, like, knocked down like that.
Yeah.
Like, I think I made the joke during the movie where I was like, if Michael got kicked in the balls, she'd break her foot.
Yep. And that's probably true. By Halloween 5, Michael was basically unkillable.
They're balls of evil.
Balls of evil.
Okay, well,
That was really funny, man.
all right. I shot him 6 times.
6 times
In
right
the
in
balls.
balls of evil.
They reflected off.
Oh no.
Maybe that's how he survived.
Oh my
His
god.
big kahunas. They
His
block his
Giant
chest area.
testicles.
But yeah, there's that. There's also this other really cool scene, which kind of gross. And it's just like an interesting addition to have, but I do like it because it's super realistic. But we see Ginny hiding under the bed.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she gets so scared she pees herself.
Yeah.
Which again, kind of like a funny addition, but also realistic and something you don't get to see
Yeah.
that
I mean,
often.
all of her friends are fucking dead, man.
She is at this point cornered under a bed.
Yeah.
And it's just like such a human reaction. I
Mhm.
think that's pretty good. Especially from a character that like she's been pretty like badass this whole time.
Yeah.
But it shows that like even though she's like doing pretty decent, she's obviously scared out of her mind.
Oh yeah. As she should be.
Yeah. But anyways, the film finishes the Final Girl circuit where she's made her way to Jason's shanty house,
Yeah.
which Okay, look. I have issues with the fact that Jason's alive in this film.
I mean, I do fucking too.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
The whole they try to explain it away. There's that campfire scene. I think they use that initial cold open flashback thing to heavily imply that he maybe somehow survived. And they're even like, they never found his body. Doesn't make sense at all.
Ridiculous.
Because for the first film to work, Jason has to be dead and, like, confirmed dead.
Like, mom buried his body, everything.
Yeah, because, let's be honest, Pamela is exactly the type of mom that would only believe her son's dead if she felt his corpse in her hands and buried it herself. Because she's just that type of mom. Hence the murder. But apparently, Jason's been living on this shanty house on Crystal Lake. Now,
for 27
years. Because it was 22 years in the first film, and it's 5 years later.
Yep.
Which is bizarre.
Ludicrous.
Because we don't get a ton of clips of Crystal Lake.
No.
And it, as we'll see, it eventually starts changing lakes and stuff as film locations change, obviously. But it's not that big. It's not that big. Like, it's a lake.
Yeah.
So it's
fairly sized.
It's large, but it is not so big that you wouldn't find a house on the water.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's not 2 camps big. At the very least, it's not 2 camps big. Especially not 2 camps right next to each other big.
No.
I would even go so far to say it's not 2 camps on opposite sides of the lake big. Because it's big, but it's not that big.
Fair enough.
You could definitely swim from one side to the other. I mean, it's a small natural lake. It's what you'd expect. My point being, though, is Jason has apparently been living in this one shack 5 minutes from the water. So probably pretty easy to find, all things considered. We actually see 2 characters walk from the water to this shack.
Yeah.
So, no, we don't see 2 characters. We watch the other character in that scene go there. But anyways, we see Ginny run from the camp to the cabin. I think it's only like 30 seconds.
It's literally like she's running away in the woods. She crosses this distinct marker that marks the route to the shanty. She's at the shanty.
Yeah, because a lot of her running, she's running in the campground.
Yeah.
And she'll go into different cabins. But I do think it's literally like 30 seconds from running from one cabin to this shanty.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre. Because, hey, first of all, this camp this movie set in is just literally
directly next to Camp Crystal Lake.
Probably less than 20 yards away.
Yep.
Even though we don't get to see the camp at all. We just see the property. But Jason is on the Camp Crystal Lake property and has been living there for 27 years, even though that camp kept opening over and over again, and his mom kept visiting that camp over and over again, the murder people.
Yeah, and messing it up.
Somehow, he was never found by her or anyone else for 27 years.
Oh, we haven't even talked about the reason that he's an evil man, but whatever. The reason that he's attributed to being...
We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Ridiculous.
So it's just ridiculous that, like, he lives in this big house. Because it's a pretty big shanty house. Like, he made it himself. He's a woodworker. He's a carpenter. There's even a toilet in there.
There is a toilet.
Not sure how that works.
I don't think it works.
There was water in it, though.
I think he put that water in there himself. Or that's just his piss.
No, that was water. It looks like it's set up to look like it might be flushable.
I don't think Jason has a flushable toilet.
And, well, what he might have done, hear me out, is he might have had the pipe go into a pit. And so when you dump water in it, it forces the stuff down into the pit.
Maybe.
Because there's that U kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, he has this big cabin. Doesn't make sense. But he chases Ginny in there.
Yeah.
And Ginny runs in, and she sees Pamela's 5-year-old head in this shrine.
Yep.
With her, it's her
sweater.
Her sweater sitting down right under the head
mm-hmm.
to make it look like her head's on a body. And there's candles set up and everything, which I guess have been burning for a long time. I'm not sure where Jason gets all these candles.
Maybe they're earwax candles.
Yes, but the fact that
maybe he has an apiary.
The fact that they're burning right now, to me, feels like he must be burning candles all the time. Unless he just burned them specifically for the killings.
Maybe.
But she goes into this room and the head's set up there. And there's also some bodies there.
There's a body there.
Yeah, I think there's 2. One of them looks really shriveled up, and I'm not sure whose it is.
I don't know.
But there's some bodies there. And Ginny's like, what do I do? And so she grabs the sweater and puts it on. And then when Jason busts in the room, she's like, stop, Jason. Mommy's talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this cool sequence where we get to see Betsy Palmer, who reprised her role. She was like, I'll do it, but not if it's inconvenient. So apparently they came to her house and they just set up like a black screen behind her and just shot her headshots.
Damn, I mean, that's all they needed.
I know, but she was like, I'm not going to fucking come out there and shoot these. You come to me. I think is rad.
Yeah.
If only she'd really slapped someone in this movie. But yeah, it's just like they do a thing where it's like Betsy Palmer's face over Ginny. I think it looks pretty good, especially for 1980.
It's not bad.
Good visual effects. And Ginny is essentially able to use it long enough to slash at Jason. Except he sees the head right behind her right at the last moment.
Yep.
And he is able to deflect it. And then Paul Holt charges back in.
Yeah, Paul.
Because he got knocked out apparently earlier in the film. Which
Thought he
makes sense.
Thought he was dead.
They were just wrestling.
They were just wrestling.
I think you could say he died, but it's also not like super unrealistic that he lived.
Yeah.
But he runs
I just think it's weird that Jason left him alive.
Yeah, but I think he was chasing Ginny.
Yeah.
And he didn't expect to be chasing her that long.
Fair enough.
I think he expected to stab her immediately. Like
Which
he
is
did
everyone else.
But then Paul Holt wrestles with him for a minute until Ginny can get behind him and like slash him in the shoulder with the machete.
Yep.
And I think that's a kind of a cool way to end the film. The whole she's dressed up as like Pamela and that works is super iconic
It's cool.
and it's cool. However,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit odd.
Yeah.
I will say they set up this ending from the very beginning of the film. And so while I do think it's a little funky, the fact that this works on Jason, because like he's smart, like he's a ruthless killer and everything, and he has to plan out all these kills and hide bodies and stuff. I don't think Jason's dumb. And so the fact that this works on him is a little bit weird. But I do think it's well deserved because they set it up from the beginning. And this is something I'm going to talk about, that this film, besides good characterization, has much better dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And the simple fact that, again, they set up stuff from the beginning in dialogue that apparently I don't think you noticed.
I didn't catch this at all.
Shows that it's very well written. And, I mean, I knew to look for it. So to me, it feels really egregious, like kind of worked in. But the fact that you didn't notice, I think, goes to show that it works. But Ginny's child psychologist.
Oh,
it's mentioned
my
right as she pulls
God.
up.
I forgot about this.
And then, when they're at the bar later, because that's where everyone goes, but specifically Paul, Ted, and Ginny, and then all the extras, Ginny has this conversation about, imagine if Jason really was real, how he'd be like a child in a grown man's body,
Yeah.
just looking for his mom. I think you wanted to talk for this. This is where they get the reasoning for why Jason would be a serial killer.
Yeah.
Is
And
that
it's a ludicrous reasoning.
he doesn't understand death, and he wouldn't have understood it until he watched his mom die.
There it is. The fact that he watched his mom die, I'm just like, bruh.
A, that doesn't make sense because there really wasn't a lot of places to watch that happen from.
No.
And also, why weren't you helping your mom
Yeah.
or revealing yourself to your mother who...
Apparently you love.
Yeah, and in this universe, it implies that, like, in this timeline, in this movie, it implies that Jason didn't know anyone except for his mom,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't make sense because he was at summer camp. That's how he drowned. I'm sure his mom was maybe the only person that was nice to him
Yeah.
because people weren't nice to the disabled in the, what,
Mm-hmm.
60s?
Yeah. 1958, I think.
Yeah.
1957.
So I'm sure his mom might have been the only one who was nice to him. But still, like, weird reasoning for why he'd kill people. Especially because we know he's a woodman and just would have definitely been murdering birds and animals and stuff
And
like
eating
that
them,
to
probably.
eat. And vegetation.
Yeah.
Also, it's kind of weird because there seems to be this underlying implication that the town believes Jason's alive
Yeah.
and is a killer somehow in the woods. Which to me implies that, like, there's definitely been some unexplained disappearances
Mm-hmm.
that aren't just obviously Pamela.
Yeah.
Because all the ones that we know of that happened at Camp Crystal Lake originally would have been linked back to Pamela. It's just weird, you know?
Yeah.
But anyways, they do imply in that bar scene that, like, Jason would have maybe reacted this way.
Yeah.
And so I guess what I'm trying to say is while this ending's a little bit ludicrous, it's at least set up.
I was going to make the argument, and this was my argument, that it works because Jason is just very mentally unwell.
Yeah.
Because imagine surviving a drowning at 10 years old, wandering off into the woods and living by yourself
For decades.
for decades.
Not talking to anyone.
Not talking to anyone. You're probably not going to have the best mental health.
Might have some, like, vitamin deficiencies that affect his reasoning.
Yeah, and also, apparently you watched your mom die. That's
Yeah.
traumatic.
I mean, I think it's slightly ludicrous, but it's set up well,
I could buy it.
and I can buy it. I will say, though, and I do want to mention this, during the sequence where they're saying he might be a grown man in a child's body, they do use a very specific word to refer to him,
Yeah.
which isn't great.
Yeah.
Different time, but still.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about in this section?
In the spoiler section, no.
No? Okay.
You have something else?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I got two things.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this movie decides to end kind of how the last movie ended,
Yeah.
with a dream sequence fake out.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the last film, I don't like it.
That's fair.
It's a good way to have a surprise at the end of the film, like a jump scare.
Mm-hmm.
I think jump scares are cheap, but like whatever. It's a good way to end the film with a jump scare, and I know people like that. It's also a cool way to reveal how the killer looks.
That's the reason I like it.
Right.
Because
I think it's more dramatic than just taking his mask off when he's dead.
and also like it's implied earlier, or not implied, but like basically they take his mask off and they don't show you, so it's like a tease,
And we get to see the reactions.
and it pays off.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I get the reasons for it,
Mm-hmm.
but as always, I think a sequence that's explained away as it was all a dream is just cheap.
It sucks.
It's cheap writing most of the time. Sometimes it could be well deserved. But this time, and especially because it was just done in the last film, is bad. It's a bad homage to make. Like, you could have ended this film in any way, but this was not the way I would have chosen to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think more than anything, it's just confusing.
Yeah.
Because in the last film, there's at least like a cut where you can be like, oh, she fell asleep,
Mm-hmm.
and now this is a dream. But in this one, it's a solid like sequence of Ginny's getting carried back to the cabin, and they get at the cabin, they hear a knock at the door, and then Muffin shows up. We haven't talked about Muffin a lot.
Oh yeah, Muffin.
But Muffin was 100% dead.
Muffin got murked.
There's a fun visual gag when Muffin gets murked.
Mm-hmm.
Bob is a party pooper and didn't like it. But you see Muffin looking up at Jason, and then it cuts the hot dogs on the grill. I think it's pretty funny, and it's a great way to get away with showing something that, like, they can't show in this film anymore because animals getting murdered, and especially dogs, would have been not okay. But
I just think it's a little silly.
it is, but I think that's why I like it.
That's fair.
It is silly, but it's a silly way to do something horrifying,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's a good trick because you don't expect them to then show you Muffin's body later.
That's fair. I didn't expect to see Muffin.
Because you're like, if they were going to show me Muffin, they would have showed it.
Well, also, I thought if they're going to show me Muffin, they're going to show me a burnt Muffin.
Right. So I thought that was, I think it's fun.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fun way to get around technical limitations
Mm-hmm.
and like audience stuff. But yeah, we see Muffin come to the door, and then we see Jason bust through the window with his mask off. And then Ginny gets pulled out the window, and it immediately cuts to Ginny being pulled out on a stretcher. She's freaking out. She's like, where's Paul? And assumingly she woke up,
Mm-hmm.
and also she can't find Paul. And that's also confusing
Because Paul should just be there.
it seems to imply like Paul might have been dead, but then that makes the ending where Paul's wrestling Jason
Mhm.
before she takes him out not make sense.
Yeah.
But then it's like, how did she survive? This dream sequence, I can get the reasons for it, but I think it's cheap, but I also think it muddles the ending of this film
Yeah.
in a way that's very, very confusing.
That it doesn't need to be
Um,
muddled. Because if Paul just shows up and goes, I'm here, perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think the intent here is that we see Ginny being carried back to the cabin
Mm-hmm.
right after the events of like Jason, quote unquote, dying. We all know he doesn't die. And I think what happened is she fell asleep while being carried to the cabin. And so she wakes up the next morning when the police are carrying her out in a stretcher.
Mm-hmm.
And assumingly Paul is already like in the ambulance
Yeah.
or somewhere else.
Getting treatment, because, I mean, he got fucked up, too.
Yeah, he has a really bad head wound. I don't
Yeah.
know if you saw that. That's why he passed out for a while. And also fucking Muffin's dead. That just doesn't make sense.
Muffin's absolutely dead. Muffin showed up and went, that dog definitely died.
Yeah. It's actually really funny. Could you say that? And then immediately comes through the window.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to talk about that. That's over with. Now, I want to talk about like kind of a fun way to read the first and second film.
Oh, Lord, okay.
At least in a way that for me makes them make more sense. Now, this doesn't clear up the timeline completely, but I think it makes them make more sense to be in my head, right?
Okay.
Kind of a what's the word? It's not a fan theory when it's like a fan timeline. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Headcanon.
Okay.
It's
I
my
know what that
headcanon
is.
for something. And it's just like how I like to view these movies
Mm-hmm.
because I think it helps me avoid the issues between the two films, right? Okay, so the thing to note about this film is it's the first Jason film.
Yeah.
It's also, out of the two films, the one that feels like a slasher, like a traditional slasher as we view them nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
And for that reason, it honestly feels like the first Friday the 13th movie in a way the first one didn't. Because again, I don't hate the first one, but it doesn't feel like a Friday the 13th movie.
I mean, fair enough.
I mean, there's 10 more movies like this one, and there's only one movie like that. And so in a lot of ways, I kind of like to view this one as the first Friday the 13th movie, and then view the original Friday the 13th kind of like a prequel. And my reasoning for that is twofold. A, it doesn't have Jason in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a lot of people, how you define a Friday the 13th movie is it has Jason in it.
Yeah.
And so by definition and not having it, it's not a Friday the 13th movie. But, and I think this is very important, that film sets up this one,
Mm-hmm.
or at least a lot of the parts of that film, like how Pamela dies, the background of there's a kid that died in the lake, all that stuff. It's all very important to the basic setup of this one.
Yeah.
And so it does feel like background material and very prequel worthy because, it happened 5 years earlier. With that being said, all that information is very explicitly given to you in this film.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't feel like obligate watching to enjoy this film. In fact,
That's fair.
I think that's part of why there's that 5-minute intro at the beginning,
But
is so you can just put on this film and not watch that one. But my real reason for saying, let's view that one as a prequel is not because I'm saying you shouldn't watch that one first, right? But I think viewing that one as a prequel maybe fixes the Jason issue, where, like, he's a grown man in this one, and that doesn't make sense for the first one, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't. How it works is basically, I don't know about you, but when I watch the first one and watch it as the first movie in the series, the way I view it is I'm watching events as they unfold, right?
yeah.
But if I'm treating it as a prequel, at least the way I think about it in my mind is I'm watching events that already happened
Mm-hmm.
because they happened before the first movie, which is where I would set my timeline,
Sure.
right? And, when you're watching events that already happened, you can have this level of, like, I don't know.
Disconnection?
Yeah, disconnection. Sorry, I forgot the word. You can have a level of disconnection from the events and how they happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think viewing the original Friday the 13th as a prequel gives you that and helps you explain away some of the inconsistencies, especially because I think the way you can view it is as a visualization of the legend of the original Night at Camp Blood. Because they tell you the story of basically the first movie during that campfire scene.
Yeah.
And so you can basically view the first movie, if you're viewing it as a prequel, as basically how the legends unfolded around Friday the 13th. Yeah, that's the picture I'm painting.
Okay.
Do I think it's great? No.
I could buy it.
But at least it helps you wrap your head around the fact that Jason's a grown man in this one, and there's no way he could be alive in the first one.
Yeah.
At least to me, it makes that jump in logic a little bit easier to stomach, because it is really hard to stomach.
It is. It's really rough, to be honest.
But also, I think viewing it in that way helps, like, people who don't want to watch the first one and just want to watch Jason, because it lets you go, I don't have to watch that right now. I can just watch the Jason movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. Alternate way to view it. Thought I should propose it, because I thought that might be interesting.
It's definitely interesting. I don't think it solves my problems with the film, but I understand where you're coming from.
All right. I guess, are we done with the spoiler stuff?
Unless you have anything else. I'm out of
good.
gas.
All right.
Oh.
And we're back. Or still here, depending
Yeah,
on
depends on if you
who
skip.
you are. Guess we're just going to go on the recommendations now.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So, I mean, look.
Bob's a party pooper.
I'm going to be honest. I don't like this one as much as the first one. Just, like, straight up. So, for recommendations, if you're watching the whole series, of course you got to watch it. It's only the second one. You got to, if you're watching the whole thing, watch this one, watch this one, watch the original. Do them in order if you want. It's a pretty decent slasher. I think it's the most, how do I put this, slasher we've seen,
Yes.
if that makes sense. Like, it feels very
Except
classic
for maybe
slasher.
Bloody Valentine's Day.
My Bloody Valentine's also,
Yeah.
Very good slasher. But this is, like, classic, like, early slasher. It feels really strong.
Yeah, this is just a straight up slasher movie where the last one was more of a suspense murder mystery thing.
Yeah. So, if you're a fan of that, it's good. Once again, the practical effects are pretty okay. They look nice. Some of them better than others, but
They look good. You just don't get to see.
as much as you'd like, I
Yeah.
guess. Or at least as much as I'd like. I don't know about
No,
you.
I'd like to see more. It's just I tend to be a little bit more lenient on it because I know the reasoning.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I don't think I have any other recommendations.
All right. For me, if you want to see, again, just a slasher movie, this is a very good slasher movie. The last film, like we said, is very suspenseful, and it's kind of a whodunit, but it's not really a slasher. I mean, technically it is, but it's
Mhm.
not a slasher how the genre is understood. And so this is really the first film to embrace that. And so if that's what you're looking for, if you want to see the classic Jason really going hard, killing people, this is really where it starts, at least as far as slashers go. The other one is, again, camp movies. Pretty obvious.
That's fair.
If you're looking for practical effects and creative kills, this film has it. I mean, we've talked about this a good amount on this review. Like, it got cut down pretty hard on the kills. And so, like, while the kills are creative and the little bit you get to see of them looks good, they were just heavily cut because the MPAA knew what was coming out of the Friday the 13th series and wanted to go hard on it. And that sucks. But if you get the Blu-ray, you can see it. So, check it out. And then I think last but not least, if you want to see a pretty well-written, like, good character slasher film, this is good. Quick. You're entertained throughout.
Yeah.
All right, rate it, Bob.
Okay, I talked about it last time when we watched the first one. I like slow suspense films, like whodunit mystery stuff. That's just like one of my favorite genres of movie we watch on the show. It's just like I have a fun time with them normally. And not that I expected this to be that at all. But I'm saying, like, coming off of the first one, it's very different.
Yes.
I still like it. It sucks that the kills are all cut down, and that was kind of what I wanted going in. But we get a lot more Jason, because it's like it's more high octane. It's a lot more like
The reveal's already happened.
Yeah, the reveal's already happened, so he's just out and about, which I like. I like Jason. I think he's cool. I also like the way he looks in this film. He looks cool.
Much cooler than Mikey.
Mm,
Yeah.
depends on which one you're talking about.
All
Halloween
of them.
2 Michael? No.
All of them.
Halloween 5 Michael? Absolutely.
All of them.
No.
I just don't like Michael's design.
You don't have to like Michael. It's fine.
That's fine.
I like Michael.
It's just objectively better.
Whatever.
Classic Jason. Big old hockey mask.
But I do enjoy the characterization of the characters in this film a lot more. They're a lot more enjoyable. They're a lot more fun. They all feel like actual people and not just like archetypes thrown into camp setting.
There's less boring downtime.
There's way more
So
less boring
much less.
downtime. It's so nice. I think I'm sitting on a solid 3.5.
Wow, you rate this one less?
Yeah, I
Okay.
like it less.
Fair enough.
But I think that mostly just comes from I just prefer the style of the original
I guess that's fair.
a lot more. And that's just a me thing, That's just a preference. And also, like, I feel like you got to see a lot more gore in the first one because the kills are less cut down.
I think technically you saw less gore in that one. It's just they hold on the kills longer.
Yeah, which I
I think you technically saw more gore in this one,
maybe.
just statistically because there was more deaths.
Yeah.
Time-wise, I think there's more gore in this
Mhm.
film.
I don't know. I guess maybe just the kills are impact harder in the first one, like getting to stick. I also just I like some of the kills in the first one a lot more. Like there's some good ones in this, but some of them I'm just like they're whatever.
Well, yeah, there's one kill in that first movie that's better than all the kills in this one.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it just sticks harder
Except
in my
maybe
mind.
one. One of the kills in this is really good.
What? But see, the thing is,
And another one is super cool, but we just don't get to see it.
yeah, the thing is, you know what's crazy? I completely forgot that kill happened.
You did.
And that, in my mind, means that it wasn't as impactful as it should have been. Because if it was impactful, I would have remembered it. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I think it's impactful. I think you're, just tired and forgetful, but also it's sandwiched between multiple kills.
That's fair.
And also, you totally didn't forget it happened. I think you just blanked when we were talking about it. Because we were talking about the kills, and you went, oh, and then there's this one character that when I went, no!
That's true.
So you definitely remembered. I think you just blanked on it at the time.
Yeah. I don't know. It meets every expectation I want from camp slasher and has a couple of cool things throughout that bring it to an extra half point for me.
And for context, Bob gave the last one a 4.
4.5.
So this one's a... Oh, you gave it a 4.5?
Yeah, I just really like that
Jesus
movie.
Christ, that movie did not deserve a 4.5.
That's fair.
Just objectively. I'm sorry.
Well, we talked about why.
All right, for this film, let me just start by saying I give the first one a 3, right?
Yes, I think so.
Because, look, the last, if I'm being nice, 20 minutes, but realistically, 10, 15 minutes of that film, very, very good, but the rest of the first film is very rough because it's just so god-awful slow. Like, the suspense is really nice, and the suspense scenes where you get to see the killer are nice, but out of that whole, we're saying 20 minutes is the end sequence, out of that original hour and 10 minutes, the suspense sequences are maybe 10 minutes, so there's, an hour of just, nothing with not well-done characters. That makes that movie really rough, and straight off the bat, this film fixes that issue.
Yeah.
I mean, all the characters, I can remember their names, which is nice. I can't really do that for the first film. But also, they were interesting. I liked their dialogue. I didn't really hate any of them too much.
No.
Scott sucks.
Yeah, he sucks, but he, is just, a shitbag, and I don't hate him because of the way, you're supposed to hate him, so it's fine.
Yeah. But it wasn't like Ned in the first film where
It's unbearable.
he's unbearable, but you're kind of supposed to like him, and it's like, no.
No.
He sucks. So right off the bat, I think it was a lot more interesting to watch, even when we weren't watching people die.
Mm-hmm.
I also think we obviously got to see more of Jason in this film, which is really great.
Yeah.
Love seeing him. And I think they did a nice transitionary thing from, not all the way in the open Jason to we get to see him.
Yeah.
Which I think is a nice way of handling it, because I think if they had just been right off the bat, here's Jason in your face.
It's a bit startling because of what the first film was.
Yeah, it would have been too startling. It would have felt cheap. And so starting with that same, not POV, but like,
shots of his legs, him walking.
yeah, almost voyeuristic shots of him, I think is a
Mhm.
nice transition. I think it's smooth. I really like that. And I think it works our way up into like the big reveal of, let's watch Jason actually murder people fully on screen.
Yeah.
And then, while the kills are cut down in this film, I do think there is technically more gore, but more importantly, I think the kills are more creative, which, again, for me is, I think, a big deal. But as always, that's just because I've seen a bunch. And while I
Mhm.
would have preferred for them to be gory, because a lot of these kills feel like the wind was taken out of my sails,
Yeah, that's how I feel, man.
At least they're cool looking for, like,
Yeah.
the 3 seconds I get to see, if even that. So I'll give props for that. And then just overall, this one feels more like a slasher. I mean,
Mhm.
the first film's like a murder mystery, which is nice, but I got to be honest, as a person who has only existed when there's been a ton of Jason films, and also past like the slasher era from the 80s and 90s, I can't not view a Friday the 13th movie as not a stereotypical slasher film.
Yeah, that's totally
And
fair.
so to have the first film not be that and this one be that just makes this one more successful, essentially, to me, as doing the concept. I know at the time of filming, the first film accomplished what it was going to be. Like, it was trying to be essentially a Halloween-style, like, whodunit suspense slasher. But this one just feels like it succeeded more at just being a slasher film than that one. And I think overall, I'm going to give it a 4.
Fair enough.
Because, like, overall, I think it was a better film, Now, we can get into some objectivity, because I think the end of the first film was great.
That's kind of why.
The end of that film
Yeah.
was better than, like, any other 15-minute segment of this film. However, the ending of a film does not a good film make,
Sure.
you know? And when the majority of your film is kind of rough and boring, it's hard to say the whole film is at the same level as that end.
Mm-hmm.
And just overall, the entirety of this film was at a higher level than the average of that film. Obviously, like, I don't think the ending of this one matched the ending of the original,
No.
but at least they tried something that was reminiscent in some good ways.
Mhm.
They did do some things that were reminiscent in bad ways, I think. We talked about that.
Yeah.
But, overall, I think it was a better, or at least more fun experience for me, and I think for the average viewer as well, because, once again, it's so rough, the beginning of Friday the 13th. With that being said, the thing that really keeps me away from giving it a 4.5 is just how truncated those kills are. It's really the weakest part of this film, I think, because the writing's pretty good. I like most of the characters. I really love some of the characters. Mark and Vicky's like the classic. I think they're super cute. But yeah, the kills are the big thing, I think, that ruins this film and that keeps it from being any higher than a 4.
And I mean, when you're coming into a slasher, that's what you're coming for.
Yeah, that's what you're coming for. And like, I think they're saved by how creative they were. If they were all like throat slits, I combine both of those words.
Mm-hmm.
If they were all throat slits and then we didn't get to see any gore, I think I couldn't have given it a 4. I think it would have been a 3.5. Because, like, kills are what you come for. And they knew that going into this film. There's a lot more people in this film to die.
Yep.
But I mean, without like actually getting to see them in the way I want, even though they're creative, I can't give it a higher rating than a 4. But I mean, at least I know they tried.
Mm-hmm.
And they spent time thinking about it, and so I have to give them props for that. It sucks that it was something out of their control that kept them from, like, including it.
Yeah.
But at the very least, you can see the film how it's intended, at least in some way on, like, a Blu-ray or something. So I think I'd definitely give it a higher rating for that, but I'd have to go watch it.
Same.
Yeah, on that note, though, I think I got to call it. That's it. So we're going to go to the outtakes now.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in a minute. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the outtake section for this episode of Beware the Board. I hope you're enjoying our review of Friday the 13th Part 2 so far. I really like this film. I think it's very, very fun. But if you do not want any major spoilers from this outtake section, please skip to 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 5 seconds immediately. This first clip is me getting the piss scared out of me by a cat during the cold open.
Weird things that just people used to have in their homes.
Yeah, I mean, it is like, the 80s or whatever.
No, I know, but, like, I have never met anyone nowadays who has an ice pick.
Well, you don't need it.
You don't need it. It was for the old ice bucket, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
I know people who have like the mixing spoons that use the crack ice.
Bah! That cat scared the shit out of me, bro. What the fuck? This next clip is our reaction to the cold open kill. Oh no, don't make another... Don't start making coffee again.
It's their MO.
Yeah. Does Jason eat cats like Michael eats dogs? Oh! Whose fucking head is that?
Whose head do you think?
Oh. She got an ice pick in the side of her fucking skull.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, he
At least
took
he's
the kettle off.
responsible.
This next clip is our reaction to seeing a fan favorite return from the first film.
I think it's a different film.
Oh
location.
my god, he's back.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's still here.
Now, let's make a bet. Do you think he's gonna say you're doomed?
Probably. If he doesn't, I'd be surprised. This next clip is me using my powers of foresight way too well. No way, we're actually going to get to see him? Oh
Mhm.
my god.
Yeah, we're actually gonna get to see him.
No, it's fucking Ralph. Jesus Christ, Ralph. What are you doing, you little freak?
Just being a crazy old man.
You're just watching these fucking people make out from the woods. Like a creepazoid. I'm waiting for Jason to kill Ralph. That'd be awesome. Oh, did I Oh no, Ralph! Ralph's being choked out by Jason. No!
See the
Man,
blood?
I didn't expect to call that so quickly.
Well, he wasn't being choked out. He was being garroted.
This next clip is our reaction to Paul and Jason wrestling. Oh. Oh. We actually get to see him fight. Holy shit, this is cool.
They're wrestling.
Yeah. Help him! Help Paul, you fucking idiot! Do something! Jesus Christ. That was a cool reveal. Also, I think Paul just fucking died and she let him die.
Well, I mean, you also have to remember it's a lot darker for the characters than it is for us.
This next clip is our reaction to a body reveal during the final girl circuit. Oh, pitchfork! Oh, Ralph!
She didn't even know that man. I wonder what her thought process was there, though.
I don't know.
'Cause, like,
She was like, who's this?
who's this? I don't know. He's dead.
Our car's not gonna fucking work. This next clip is why you should never answer the door in a horror movie. Why does she have the sharp end and Paul's got the handle?
Well, it was split in half.
I know, but shouldn't Paul have the dangerous end since he's the one answering the door?
Nah, but that end's better for clubbing, which is better for opening the door.
I guess, yeah.
That end's better for stabbing if they charge at you. But it's not going to charge at it, because, like, Jason's dead. Look, it's Muffins!
No fucking way. Was a different fucking dead dog?
That looked exactly like Muffins.
Yeah.
But at least Muffins is alive. So we can end on a sweet note.
But Terry's dead. Yep. Oh, hell yeah, brother. I was expecting that one. That's kind of awesome.
Hulk Hogan?
Huh?
Are you Hulk Hogan?
I mean, it's just cool.
Oh, no, yeah. You just went, oh, yeah, brother.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Okay. I'm more laughing that you did the Hulk Hogan voice in the middle of that.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the outtakes. Do we have any announcements, Ben?
Not any, like, exciting announcements. I mean, we're doing part 3 next Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And then part 4 on Wednesday again. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts. We do our normal Friday episodes, as you know, and we're doing this right now. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, other places, including YouTube, which not the most convenient, but is a nice place to show us some support because it's very easy to see that there. We can see your likes, your subscriptions. It's also kind of nice because there's this thing called a bell button that you can smash the shit out of, just like eating a muffin. And
Oh no!
it's kind of a handy tool because it tells you whenever we're like posting new stuff.
Oh god.
Additionally, YouTube is one of the 2 places where you can communicate with us. You can do that in the comment section in YouTube, or you can do that over on Twitter if you want to talk to Bob. Be like, Bob, your fans are talking to you.
Oh no.
Listen to Bob.
Jesus Christ. I'm pretty sure that muffin reference is only going to be people who listen to the spoiler section, but that's
Or
really
have seen
funny.
the movie.
Seen the movie too. Like Ben said, check us out on Twitter at Beware the Board. It's where I post information about the show, updates about the show. Basically, any information you want to know about the show goes on our Twitter. On Mondays, I post a spoiler post for that Friday's episode, which is basically a hidden movie cover that you can reveal to see what it is so you can watch the movie before we do. It's really useful for people who want to like watch the movie and then when they listen to the episode so they don't get any spoilers, or when we're beating around the bush and being really vague about stuff, you know exactly what we're talking about. Then on Fridays, or whatever day an episode goes live, which currently is Saturdays and Wednesdays while we're doing this series.
And Fridays.
And Fridays, normal episode. I post a link to that week's episode, which take you right to the episode. So if you ever missed an upload, want to know when something went up, or need a link directly to it, it's all on our Twitter. Last thing, we're doing short form content now. We're on TikTok at Beware the Board and YouTube Shorts. So if you're interested in short form content and you want to see new clips from the show,
I like how you say now, like this hasn't been a thing for a while.
well, it's like the newest thing. It's been a while, but
It's
still,
been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a while. Anyway, but if you're into short form content and like the show and want to see new clips from the show, check us out on TikTok at Beware the Board and on YouTube Shorts. I think that's it, Ben.
All right, guys. See you next time.
Yeah, well, see you guys next time.